Welcome. Good evening, everyone. I call the Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 Peninsula School District Board of Directors meeting to order. Director Glover is not able to be with us tonight. She and her husband Dan are with the Teo family, celebrating the life and memory of Ross Teo. If many of you know, Ross Teo is a graduate from the class of 2020 from Peninsula High School who sadly lost his battle with cancer 1 year ago today. So they're celebrating and remembering him. And we are thinking of them tonight. Will you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there any discussion prior to the vote on the approval of the agenda this evening? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Jennifer and seconded by David to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Agenda is approved. We are coming rapidly close to the end of the year, so that means our meetings will be full of celebrations, and we're very excited tonight to celebrate our students who have achieved the seal of biliteracy. So we have with us tonight James Cantonwine, who's going to come up and present those students.
Good evening. It's exciting to get up here and talk about something besides percentages. This is so. Do we have that slide? So as we're getting the slides pulled up, just a quick reminder: every year we conduct world language testing for students in really across our high schools, looking and kind of giving them an opportunity to show what they know. Some of these students are coming to us already having these language skills. Other students come to us and they're learning these kind of, in some cases, outside of our program. And then for a few of the students, they're conducting these world language proficiency tests after they're kind of finished studying a single language. So we offer this world language testing. We look at reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And we offer the tests in all languages. So the 8 that you see up there are just the 8 that we tested on this year. We have tested on others. These are some of our high flyers, I would say, in terms of languages, particularly Spanish. But those are the 8 languages that we offered testing in. If there isn't a published test for that, we work with OSPI to figure out how can we assess students and then award them with high school credit for the proficiency that they bring to us. Having proficiency in another language is incredibly valuable. It's not going to become less valuable in the future. And so we want to make sure that we honor that. The seal of biliteracy is given if a student scores at a level that awards them with 4 high school credits, and they meet the other state requirements for graduation. This year, in terms of our testing, we had 32 students earn the seal of biliteracy, which is phenomenal. And we had a total of 177 credits awarded through proficiency. Now, I'll point out Wah Wheel. So Wah is the staff member who really organizes all of this. And I would point out that 177 high school credits from one staff member, that's probably the most productive staff member we have in terms of credits awarded. So Wah, do you want to come on up? And so pictured up here are students from who earned the Global Seal of Biliteracy, which is an additional international program that Wah has sought out. And do you want to bring up students and they can?
Yeah. So for some, the student here today they were invited. So the ones that are receiving the Global Seal of Biliteracy, could you all stand up and come this way? Yeah, just send them by. proud of this program, and we thank you so much for your support and all of these. We're so proud of these students. And is there any more that you want to present, or?
Do we want to have them come up for a picture?
Yes, that would be, oh.
Can we have them, if they feel comfortable, would you like to maybe introduce yourself, to say your name and say the languages that you've tested in?
That I would really
And
like
your
for
school,
them to do that.
please.
Yeah, so you can come up and say your name and the school and the language to test it out.
My name is Soli Lopez Alvarado, and I'm from Peninsula High School, and I did Spanish.
So my name is Octavio Lopez, and I'm from Peninsula High School and tested in Spanish.
My name is Oswaldo Robles. I'm from Gig Harbor High School and tested in Spanish.
My name is Eliana Pope. I'm from Peninsula High School and I tested in Spanish.
My name is Kate Flores and I tested in Spanish and I'm from Peninsula High School.
My name is Catherine Harry. I'm from Gig Harbor High School and I tested in Spanish.
My name is Hugh Vicente and I'm from Gig Harbor High School and I tested in Spanish.
My name is Jackson and I tested in Spanish and I'm from Gig Harbor.
My name is Luke Jolly Boys. I'm from Gig Harbor and I tested in Spanish.
My name is Josué Puentes. I'm from Gig Harbor High School and test in Spanish.
I'm Warren De La Cruz. I tested Tagalog from Peninsula High School.
My name's Clarice Julian, and I'm from Peninsula High School, and I tested Tagalog.
My name is Vanya Pon. I'm from Peninsula High School, and I did English.
My name is Katana King. I'm from Peninsula High School, and I tested in Tagalog.
Hi, my name is Serge, and I'm from Peninsula. I had a test in Russian.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I also see that we have some staff members from our multilingual department and from our world languages department. Can they also stand up and kind of acknowledge them, be acknowledged for their work in supporting these students as well? Thank you so much.
Well, I think we want to get a picture, certainly, but I just want to congratulate all of you on the work that you've done. This is incredible work. I know to speak one language is hard enough for some of us, but to come in here and learn and study in other languages really reflects what we have as our vision and mission for all of you, to be globally engaged citizens. And by the work that you've done, you really embody that. So well done. I'm super proud of you. And if anyone else wants to say something, please do. Yeah.
So can you talk a little more about the global seal? Is that something that is that designation something that is new or unique, or how did that come about?
Yeah, the Global Seal by Literacy is an international seal by literacy, and it is something that's extra that we offer to the student. It's available, and so I just applied so that the kids can get something extra on their portfolio. So fantastic.
And there was quite a list of languages that you had up there a moment ago, but I don't know how many total languages are we providing in the school district currently?
For testing or for instruction?
Well, for testing, how many languages are in our school district that we know students speak? like from whatever culture they might be from, and then how many are we testing for? Does that make
I think
sense?
Jamie said 24. Is Jamie here?
31.
31. Okay.
31. Yeah.
31.
31.
I knew we were in the 30s, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, and then how many are we testing, actually able to test?
So this year we had 8 students who brought, any student who brings I'd like to take a test in this language, we always honor whatever that is. So this year we had 8 students, or 8 different languages, excuse me, represented in what students brought to us. So this is a high school program, so it is for the high school students, and then they need to feel like they have some proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening in that other language.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
You can go, I should go.
All right. We have one more celebration this evening. I'm going to pass it off to Superintendent Barr to introduce one of her newest.
Yes,
administrators.
I am just really thrilled and so honored to welcome Wendy Malich. Wendy, would you come on up? Wendy will serve as our Director of Athletics and Activities and all things. So would you
introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
say a few words.
We are so excited to have you. And I know that many people know your biography, but will you tell us where you're coming from and who you are?
Okay. My name is Wendy Malich. I was born and raised in this community along with my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents. So I am coming home. I've been working in the Franklin Pierce School District for 37 years. It's tough to say goodbye to them, but I'm happy to come here. This would be the only place I would go. I have been an athletic director for 31 years, so I'm hoping that I can bring my expertise to the community and we can rock it. I think is that okay? All right, good.
Well, thank you so much for being here this evening, and I don't see that the board has any questions, so you're welcome to stay or, all right, thank you.
We'll have plenty of questions for you in the future. And also, if any, after your students have presented, if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, please don't feel that you have to. Our feelings will not be hurt. We are moving on to our student school board representative reports. So it looks like we're going to start with Gig Harbor tonight.
Hello, I'm Logan Toms, the junior board representative for Gig Harbor High School. And although AP testing's over and we've done a lot through the year, we still got a lot to do to finish off. So starting off on June 8th, we'll have our senior prom, which is going to be held at the Washington State History Museum in Tacoma. Our graduation rehearsal is going to be on June 12th, which is going to be held in the main gym at 10 a.m. Make sure you go because you get graduation tickets, 10 per person, and honor cords. And those graduation tickets are going to be required at graduation on the 15th, which is going to be at Cheney Stadium on Saturday. And yeah, once again, make sure you bring a ticket because that can get iffy. So also, our school is offering a varsity letter and community service like we do every year, and applications are due May 31st. This is for people who have over 100 hours in community service, and it's really great to show off all the great work our students are doing. And also, this past Monday, our Gig Harbor High School juniors took the WCAS, which is essentially the SBA equivalent for science. So instead of doing math or English, we're doing science subjects, which range from biology to physics. And I'm sure David's going to have a lot of questions on that. Also, today in class, the entire school was shown the documentary Like, which talks about the large impacts which social media can have on a children's life, and really interesting stuff. And as for our spring sports, they're starting to slow down, and we'd like to congratulate girls fast pitch for finishing third at districts and earning their way to state this week. Also, we'd like to congratulate boys track and field and girls golf for being district champions, which is really exciting. And here's Ethan.
Hi, my name is Ethan Schuett, and I'm the senior rep at Gig Harbor High School. And to continue with sports, there were hard breaks for both boys soccer and baseball for losing their first round of state. But still, both teams still had fantastic seasons and had a lot to show, especially for boys soccer, as they had 4 first-team All-Leagues, 1 second-team All-League, and 2 honorable mentions, and league MVP Tyler Dole. The Interact Club, one of our voluntary clubs, had their annual car wash fundraiser this past Saturday and raised $1,500 for the Denny Wilford Foundation, which fights polio in Africa. Gig Harbor High School Theater will be presenting their new show, 6, the musical, on the dates May 31st, June 1st, and June 2nd. Gig Harbor's band will be performing in the Maritime Parade on June 1st and will be holding their EOY Jazz Night on the 5th with EOY concert on next night on the 6th. Lastly, our speech and debate team will be leaving for National Speech and Debate Tournament in Iowa on June 15th, bringing a total of 10 competitors.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sarah, representing Henderson Bay. I hope everyone's doing well. We have 17 days until graduation. It's coming up fast. Graduation for Henderson Bay is on June 14th at 6 p.m. at Harbor Ridge Middle School. Our garden project, back in April, we met with Discovery Elementary kindergartners to meet with them and see who they were. And 2 weeks ago, we planted pumpkin seeds with them. Next Wednesday, the Discovery Elementary School kindergartners will be walking over with their pumpkins to plant them with us. It will be a lot of fun. Last week was a very eventful week. Wednesday was the Students of Distinction dinner, which 3 of us Henderson Bay students, including myself, attended. And the next day, Thursday, we had a very successful band display. It was a really awesome success. We had a lot of people come, and it was our first year that we invited not just our families, but members of our community as well to see our great school, our projects, and the garden. There is also a surprise of goats hanging around, which the little kids really enjoyed. The ribbon cutting to our garden went very well, with performances, poems, leading up to a couple of speeches, raffle drawings, and of course the ribbon cutting. We just finished our prom pop-up shop. We lasted 2 weeks instead of 1, which we had originally intended, and we closed it all up yesterday during leadership. We wanted to hold a pop-up similar to the winter pop-up shop that we held earlier this year, where we cleaned out our closets of clothes and shoes. This time it was for prom, so that students can have a dress or a suit, and so they don't have to spend a bunch of money on fancy clothes. And thanks to someone our school counselor Heather knows, we got bags full of dresses from someone who has warehouses full of dresses. Her car was completely full, almost overflowing. We had a lot of fun trying out outfits and helping others to find a great outfit for prom. And on June 6th, our seniors will be having a field trip to Point Reston. I believe we'll be having lunch at Forelli's and walking around and possibly getting to rent bikes to go hang out.
Good evening. My name is Amelia Schiffler. It has been a pleasure being a CTP student rep at these board meetings. This is my final year. Thank you for providing me with the knowledge of education I've needed to launch into my future career. First off, let's talk about Unified. We qualified and won in a state track and field competition at Mount Tacoma this weekend for the first time in Unified school history. We qualified for 5 relay teams. Soccer finished up last weekend and it was 84-degree weather in Peel. Wow, that sure is hot. We had 4 soccer tournaments and we won all 4 games. We had the soccer banquet on last Tuesday and had a wonderful time hanging out with our team members, especially eating cake. Action Club, a young adult component of Kiwanis, is getting started. This is an opportunity for graduates who to get involved with service and leadership in partnership with Kiwanis. They're actually meeting tonight in the library. Now let's get excited about graduation. Currently, 4 out of our 7 seniors have paid employment, and we have 1 senior who does community engagement pretty much every day. We've invited Gig Harbor High School and PHS Peninsula High School to join us for our Friday transition activities. This month we went bowling, had a barbecue at Titlow Park, and a kickball game at Samuel Park. On June 3rd, we're going to Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma. Thank you, Kiwanis, for the funds so we can do this. On June 7th, we will be having another barbecue at Penrose Park. You guys are invited to join us for the barbecue. It will probably be at 11. Our ladies group baked and decorated cupcakes for Key Peninsula Lutheran Church in Lake Bay. This was a fundraiser through the church we volunteer at. Our graduation ceremony will be in this room this year at 5 p.m. on June 13th. Please plan to join us. We have a slideshow that highlights what we've accomplished over the past 3 years. We're counting down to the days until CTP graduation. Thank you for letting me update all of you.
I just have to say, Amelia, you're pretty fierce in the goalie box. I love watching you there. I love the fact that
Thank you.
go after the ball, but then you cheer for everybody. I mean, I don't think there's a person out there that you don't know. It's so
Coach is like, anywhere we go, people want to know, and every coach is coming up, and I'm not telling them my secret.
That's great. Thank you, guys. Any questions for student reps?
Forward to graduation.
Yeah, looking forward to graduation. We will. We have begun the application process for our junior reps for next year, so I think deadline for those applications is tomorrow, actually, and then we will do interviews. We're going to change up our meeting schedule a little bit, so next month for June, you guys are here on the 4th for our meeting, because some of you will have already graduated by the time the second meeting comes, so hopefully we'll have our new junior reps on board and we can farewell our seniors and welcome in our new juniors. Hard to believe it's already here, you guys. Wow. Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
So it was really a nice opportunity to go to the schools this year and at lunches. And it was really nice to have you there hanging out with us, but we gave out a lot of applications. So just make sure this is a great opportunity for students to demonstrate leadership. And so I think we just have maybe 1 or 2 per school so far. So if you can put the word out in any way, shape, or form, that would be great. They can write it or they can submit it even in an email. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're on item 6 of the agenda, which is community comments. We just have one this evening, so Peter Frazier, please come up and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Fraser. I'm the proud parent of a PSD student of distinction, and my pronouns are he, him. I want to also acknowledge my privilege as a white cisgender man and my own implicit biases. I want to bring to your attention Washington State Senate Bill 5462, promoting inclusive learning standards and instructional materials in schools, that was recently passed and goes into effect June 6, 2024. The bill requires OSPI to update learning standards to include the histories, perspectives, and contributions of LGBTQIA+ individuals. An article in crosscut.com says school boards would also be asked to comply with a model policy and adopt a curriculum that includes the perspectives and experiences of historically marginalized groups, including diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, racial and ethnic groups, and those with disabilities. The article continues. Senator Marco Lias says the research is clear. Students have better outcomes when they feel represented in class. A 2017 study found higher comprehension scores for primary and middle school students when presented with culturally relevant texts. And research also shows that LGBTQIA+ students in schools with inclusive curricula report feeling safer and experiencing less bullying. When people feel a connection to what they're learning, they do better. If I had curriculum that included the perspectives and experiences of historically marginalized groups when I was growing up, I might not be learning so much about it as an adult, but I am, and I'm grateful for that. I also would have been better prepared to live and work in a world that is increasingly diverse. For instance, I learned about the Tulsa Race Massacre when I was in my 40s, and this was a major event in American history. On May 31st and June 1st, 1921, a mob of white people utterly destroyed the thriving black neighborhood of Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. More than 800 people were treated for injuries, and historians believe over 300 people may have died. Bombs were actually dropped on this part of town, and a vibrant black community was destroyed, and generational wealth was lost. As a white man, I can see why other white men and other white people are scared to have others learn the truth about events like this, why they would try and control the books and curriculum that we read and are available. But I must face the truth about the horrors that white men have committed against black and indigenous individuals, people of color, and LGBTQIA+ individuals. I have to learn about them and acknowledge them so I can better understand our world today. I have to learn about the history that was hidden from me so I can help to make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes from the past. And we owe it to our students to create a school environment that allows for the teaching of our whole history, both good and bad. Trying to ignore it or rewrite it or look past it doesn't make it go away. It only makes things worse. Please follow our new state law and adopt a curriculum that includes diverse perspectives. Thank you.
Okay, we are on item 7, the consent agenda. Is there any discussion prior to the vote? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? It's been moved by David and seconded by Chuck to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Consent agenda has been approved. Now on to the reports for the evening. I'm very thrilled to have our NJROTC program here to give us a presentation. I'd like to call up Command Master Chief Stockton to kick it off for us.
Good evening. I'm Command Master Chief Stockton, and we're going to break this brief into a couple of sections real quick. So let me have the pleasure of introducing our new commanding officer, who just took command of the Tide Hawk Company just a couple weeks ago, AJ Foreman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cadet Lieutenant Commander Foreman. It is nice to be here, and I'm excited to show you what we have to offer as a company. So, right here. Got you. Thank you. All right, so for our summer programs, we have the Northwest Leadership Academy. I personally went to this last year. It is a great opportunity for students all around the country in the program and for instructors. They come together for a week, and you get to learn like leadership, drill, athletics. They teach you how to operate as a team. When you first join ROTC, you're like, kind of like you don't really know how to work as a team, but here you wake up together, you do PT together, you eat together, you everything together, and it teaches you how to be a team. So it's a really good experience, and I'm actually going there again this summer. So it teaches you how to learn how to appreciate the small things in life. It's kind of like the boot camp experience, except not really. But I mean, it teaches you, yeah, it's not like the real deal, but I mean, like, it's a really good experience, and it teaches cadets how to work together. I mean, we're a company, so yeah. So it's in Oregon, down at Fort Riley, I believe? Fort Riley, yeah. And it's at the end of June.
We have a second camp we do at Pacific Lutheran University, the Northwest Youth Leadership Conference as well. So we actually send cadets off to 2 different locations.
New cadet orientation. So when you're a new cadet and you join day 1, like you don't really know anybody. So I mean, like we have a new cadet orientation in the summer, so that way we can get that bond with them, so that way they don't feel like an individual when they first join. So we get to teach them how to wear the uniform, what it's like, what to expect on day 1, what we expect from them, and we kind of like just integrate them into our family. We're more than just a team, we're a family. So Fishbowl, this is a very big accomplishment, and we did this year in September. So really early, like directly into the new school year, like less than 15 days, we pulled together 57 people, all Washington State, all state flags, all service flags, and the national ensign, and we performed a big color guard for the Fishbowl, which I'm sure everybody knows what Fishbowl is here. So, yeah, it was a really good experience. Again, teamwork. There you go. Yeah, so it's a team effort. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Basic leadership training. Now this is kind of like NWA, except a bigger scale. With NWA and the conference, it's more individual. We send about like 6 people. For basic leadership training, we send around 60 people. So it's 2 days. Again, you get to learn drill, how to work as a team, and it's more generalized. We, for example, in this picture right here, we got to learn how to do rappelling. That was a lot of fun, yeah. Got to conquer some fears. It was really good. And we did a passing review at the very end, and it was really beneficial for the new cadets to, again, bond. College orientation. Now this is a fun one because this you get to kind of see what ROTC is really like and what your future could be like. So we went up to UW and we got to look at all the ROTCs there. I believe it was Army, Navy, and Air Force, as well as Space Force, and they showed us like how to apply, what it's like. The campus really beautiful, and the food there really good, way better than yeah, really good. Yeah. Moving on. Annual military inspection. This is a really good experience as well. We crushed this one this year. So it's when we have the area manager for at 23, I believe, area manager 23. And he comes down and inspects the entire company. We give him a brief in the morning on our operations, all of our programs, what we do in our daily lives, and what are our big events and community service and all that. And at the end of the day, we have a passing review. So we get every cadet in the entire company, which is around 115. And we do a passing review to render respect, and it's a really good ceremony. We hand out a couple awards, give cadets the attention they deserve for all of their hard work. And we received a grade of outstanding. So we absolutely crushed it this year. Drill competitions, my personal favorite. I love these. So it's essentially like a track meet, except for ROTC. We have color guard, athletics, academics, marksmanship, precision team, and pretty much every team, armed and unarmed drill. How can I forget that? That's really important. We actually crushed it in that too. But yeah, so yeah, we compete. We love to compete. We practice all the time in the morning for 0 hour, after school, on our breaks. we practice, 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 and we do really well. And you can see some of our results leading up to state or regionals, what we call it. We got first place in everything. Regional championships. We got 5th overall, but only 3 of our teams competed out of the entire state, and we got 5th. We placed 1st in athletics in the entire state, and we got 2nd in academics. So, and we're only 3 years into this program, so, I mean, and we're competing against companies that have been in this for 15 years. So a lot of exponential growth there. Upcoming schedule, so for our drill competitions, we're doing like, we were competing against all the other branches of ROTC, like Army, Marine Corps, all that stuff. Next year, we're gonna do an all Navy competition for, and that's pretty much our schedule right there. And we're actually looking at nationals in Pensacola, Florida. That would be an amazing experience. And I think we are capable of getting there next year. So we'll see. We're gonna train, and we'll do our best, yeah. Middle school outreach. This is very important, investing in the future generations of our company. And I could tell you, these guys are pretty strong, I'm not gonna lie. When I went there, like, we did some playing competitions, arm wrestles. Our company is in good hands for the future, But yeah, this is a chance for us to bond and like show the middle schoolers what we're about, what we have to offer, and kind of show them who we are. And I think it's pretty successful, yeah. It was a really good experience for them and us. Navy ball, this is really, really fun. So it's like it's a dance, ROTC styled, big budget, really fancy, like nice tables, nice food, really nice food. And I'm a food guy, so yeah. And you get to bring your dates, and we just, again, get to have a lot of fun. And we did change of command there. So yeah, and we had our honor guard, we brought the swords out, we did everything. And it looked amazing. It was a great experience for everybody that was there. Field trips. Grog, grog, let me. So if you get like a penalty. Okay. Oh, 3 times. 3 times, yep. Moving on to field trips. RTC offers an average around 1 field trip a month. So we by far crush like any other class. We focus on exposure, exposing you to new things, new ideas, new places, new career pathways. And we got to go on nuclear submarines. We're looking at nuclear aircraft carriers. We got to see the Blue Angels. I actually had one of them sign a picture. Really cool. We get to go to hospitals. We went to Naval Bremerton Hospital, and we get to look at, we went to see the F-18 Growlers too. Well, sorry, actually, I got that wrong. That's E-18G Growlers. I'm sorry, that's my fault. But yeah, it's really good to expose cadets to new things, and ROTC allows us to do that. Community service. One of our core values as a company is giving back to the community, giving something and not expecting anything in return. And that's what we focus on. That's kind of our mentality. We do color guards, we do stuff for Memorial Day, and we just do stuff all year round. Veterans Day week, we have an entire week where we're doing community service for veterans. So we're dedicated to giving back to our community, and we have almost 3,000 hours. Just 50 more hours, we would have put that 3K on there, but yeah. New programs. So we got new programs this year that are like seriously brand new to us. Orienteering, which is pretty much like cross country, but with a map in the middle of the forest. So it's you, yourself, and I running in the forest. Try not to get lost. Stellar Explorers. That's like you're calculating rockets and all that stuff to new planets, gravity, and all that stuff. A lot of physics, really physics based. Cyber Patriot. That's coding. So you learn how to use multiple languages and computers like Python and all that stuff, and you're essentially like learning how to hack. And then precision marksmanship. So marksmanship is like, precision marksmanship is like it's pretty much more expensive stuff, more equipment, like you wear a suit to help you stay still. And it's just precision based, more, not sporter, but it's more advanced. Thank you guys.
All right, so we've had some big accomplishments this year and just recently. So we just found out that we will be one of the handful of units that's going to be upgraded from an NNDCC to an NJROTC unit. And so, and part of that criteria is performance. And so these are the folks that help make it happen. So some of the benefits of this will be half of the minimum instructor pay for 2 instructors. So it can have between $80,000 to $100,000 worth of financial benefit for the district. So that the federal funding that comes with this program is substantial. Something that maybe is less known, and I reached out to Captain Shapler over at Curtis High School, was the supply budget. So we get unit support money up to close to $20,000 a year in annual funding for uniforms, and another $3,000 to $4,000 in alteration budgets as well. So when we need to get dry clean in or anything for those students that may need alterations, they don't got to come out of pocket, or mom's always having to pay for it. Orientation trips. So if we were to earn a trip to nationals, they got some money that they can basically reimburse us back on for that. So they now will have funding mechanisms to allow us to go do that, amongst other orientation trips. And we have some equipment like the rifles and stuff that they also have a supply code that can help keep those in good order. So this is a really big, it's a big plus annually for the district to make sure that the equipment stays current and that we can make sure everything's in good order. The question was, how did we get there, right? So the very first thing that in the past 12 months, we were able to increase enrollment in the program 28%. So we went from 90 cadets to 115 cadets this year. And again, that's largely having to do with the work of our cadets. They've been setting a great example, and they've been just inspiring other people to join the program. And so that's been one of the best things that just get out of their way and let them go to work. So that's been really a productive way of doing this. We've had an opportunity to do some armed drill exhibitions, and we've had a chance to do Seahawk 101 and some other outreach, but get into the middle schools. So it's worked out pretty well in the last 12 months. One thing that I'm still learning as a fairly new instructor is, I took the end of year report for the NJRTC program, and I aligned our program to it. And as a result, we ended up, I have 67 to 139 to 237 end of year points pretty much for our program. And what that did is it increased us up to becoming a distinguished unit with honors. So just by aligning our program to the national standards, we were able to quickly get on that track. And so this was overall, we finished third out of 26 schools in Area 23 in just our third year. So we are well on our way. And we are the most improved unit for the second year in a row. And we're currently waiting on if we're the most improved unit national award. So that may be something that will be coming our way. Now, how did we do it? We lost a lot of sleep. All right? A lot of sleep. We engaged in everything. It was a full court press, and we just, we decided to go big on this one. So the drill teams, Josh Pelzar was our drill commander. We had help on the PT, and everyone just committed to trying to improve the overall unit, the time, the schedule, the practice. So our color guard, they took first place in a couple competitions. The unarmed drill team, they took first place and second place in a competition, and we fielded our first armed drill team this year. So again, that's somewhere that we're gonna really move the needle. Academics, we end up tying for first place and lost on a tiebreaker. It's heartbreaking, but at the same time, they did excellent. The national academic exam, we had 2 teams in the top 100 out of 1,500 teams that went out. So our schools did excellent. We were one of 2 schools that fielded 2 teams for National JLAB. That's the JRTC Leadership and Academic Bowl. So the bottom line is academically and just across almost every metric, our program has started to take off, and we have yet to have our first class of NS4s in the program. Next year will be the very first year we have that. We did include a few STEM activities additionally, and so that is, it's all kind of coming together. It's all coming together. So that's how we got there. Now, this is the projected enrollment for 24-25 based on what I see right now. And it's right now we have 34 new cadets incoming. Now, mind you, this is a very early snapshot. I mean, it's almost certainly going to go up. But right now, we're projected at 116. I'd expect that probably to go up to about 130 by the time everything shakes out. So that's a pretty good number. I'd like to call out the principals and the counseling teams over at Key Peninsula Middle School and over at Harbor Ridge Middle School. Whatever they're doing, it's fabulous. They have the cookbook over there, and they're doing a great job. And with our federal funding tied to our enrollment, it's very important that we have those successes when it comes to connecting on the counseling front. So it's been very successful over there, and because of that, we're going to meet our numbers very healthily. It's going to be a very healthy number this year. Well, right now, I got 45. I have 45 seats in the classroom, and we can run up to 5 classes. So that would put us over 200, about 225. So we definitely have. I don't know if I have enough. It's like that's a lot of folks to to train. However, it's I think a number that probably a goal number would be 150. Like comfortably, and 151. And so it's generally 2 instructors at 100. A third instructor, the Navy will pay half a MIP for another salary once you go over 150. Yep. Okay, future plans. So this is our snapshot. In 21-22, we had 12 graduates. Last year we had 10. This year we're going to have 22. So we're going to have as many graduates this year as we did in the past 2 years combined. Now, out of those, the class of 24, and I'm going to introduce a couple cadets to you. We have one of our cadets that's going to be going to the United States Naval Academy, earn an appointment. She's not here. Her brother is here. Claire Lurch. She is going to be going to the United States Naval Academy. And one I'd like to also introduce is Marcus Ream. Please stand. He earned a scholarship to the United States Military Academy Prep School, so he'll be going to West Point. We have a couple other of our scholarship winners, Davin and Josh. Will you please stand? And so they're going to be going to Oregon State University on 4-year ROTC scholarships this year. So great job, gentlemen. And I have another one who is kind of a really cool story. He did, run and start, and he's going to graduate high school with an associate degree. And as a result, he's actually applying for the 2-year scholarship instead of the 4-year scholarship. So we won't know the results yet for probably another month. But overall, we got 5 people that qualified for the national scholarships, estimated close to $1.5 million worth of scholarship money this year. So just looking in our crystal ball. And we also had 4 enlistments, and we have a couple more pending. So across the board, they have been finding their way into industry. So we're connecting the training we're doing to what the future looks like. And then there's the piece on the scholarship. Okay, so and this last slide has 2 pictures. One was from the very beginning. That's what it looked like 3 years ago. And the one you see on the right is this weekend at the Armed Forces Day Parade, where we had 80 cadets marching with an 58 flag color guard down the streets of Bremerton. So that's where we began, and that's currently where we're at. Any questions? My mom made me do it.
And I didn't really want to do ROTC, and this was the COVID year for my sophomore year. And after I realized I had no choice of doing it,
We hear that more than you think.
Hey, during orientation, as they'll find out when they're in Officer Candidate School or Fleet Week or whatever, as you all know, master in boot camp, your first week, again, your large camp on night, you want to make sure everyone really want to be there, because people are washed out. During orientation week, is there any effort at all to see how much they want to be there, or is it just let them know how it's going to work? And I don't, you want to try to wash them out, but you want to make sure you have some kids that are going to be committed.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't recommend anyone to go to those programs that I didn't think that would make a good candidate. It's that recommendation from us. It's serious business. You know, it's because what they're going to have, the leadership challenge they're going to have to take on once they get that commission. You know, we owe the very best, and you know, so I can tell you this: the feedback I'm getting from the folks that are enlisted or has been, our cadets are going there leading. They're the ones that are leading everybody else. So a little feedback, our command senior chief a couple years ago, he went to boot camp and he became the recruit, the RPOC there. And now he's down at nuclear power school. And they just reached back for a letter of recommendation so that he can go to ROTC here at UW and go and become a nuclear officer. So these guys are, when they leave the program, they have the tools necessary to lead. And actually, the feedback I've been getting is praise. They're ready, and so our job is to make them ready.
What I meant by that is, like, you said you have an orientation week this summer for your new kids coming in.
Oh, I ain't gonna shake them out.
That's what I meant.
I ain't gonna shake them out. No.
That's what I meant. Those kids.
Okay.
I know our kids leave and are
Yeah.
going to be amazing. What do you do to make sure the new kids come in that they need to be serious for this program?
So it really is it's a different pace program, right? But first thing is we just want to introduce what we're about. You know, it's we got to kind of get through the misconceptions and everything else, and really just give an honest depiction of who we are and what we're about. The leadership team. They have a day where they just explain everything and how we work and how we operate. And if it's not for them, that's okay. They talk to their counselors and they can, you know, make the right choice for them. But if it's something that they're interested in, they come back and, you know, they tend to like it. Our retention in the program is quite high, about 90%. So it's once they're in the program, we tend to see them back year after year. So it's that first couple weeks. If it's truly not for them, we respect their decision and, you know, allow them to do their thing. So, but it's these guys. They're the talent. No, not at all.
Well, first I want to say I'm so proud of what has happened in our school district and these guys and gals. It's just amazing. So in the school district, we have Core 24. We have to have certain credits and stuff. And I guess my question is, how does that work with this program? It seems like there's a lot of different applications. We can get physical fitness, we can get electives, but there's the science and all the other things that you do too that they should be able to get credits for. And
I actually got a slide on that. I was gonna kind of, but it's this is the proposed pathway, and so much of it's been approved. I got a couple proposals that I'd like to make at a later time, but I think this would help kind of spell out what you're asking about. Our first year, we get a full credit for PE. So if they take it, so they get those PE credits towards graduation requirements. In our second year, we get U.S. history. So again, with all the curriculum of naval science, there's a lot of government and a lot of history that is tied into that, and so that has been approved as well. The junior year, you finish up your physical education portion, and you got your military history. So again, that's another all graduation requirements. The one thing that I'm hoping to work, and I've been working with the leadership here, is to talk about breaking out a senior class, an NS4 class, because the type of stuff they need to learn is a little bit different as they're getting ready to transition on to the next step, like these gentlemen. And so there is a CCFE, like a consumer finance piece to it, and there's a college and career piece. So I'm trying to, I'm going to propose to try to get a CCFE equivalency to that. And I'd also like to readdress the civics piece, and that's underway. And so the idea is that every class that you take is a class towards graduation requirements. Therefore, it's a viable pathway. And that's the concern. And also the last piece, and I'm going to just plug it, it says now we're moving Navy drill to the 6th period, is really getting that performing arts piece to that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're outperforming and stuff, and other NJRTC programs have been able to work with OSPI to make that happen. And when I got students coming back saying, well, my counselor's saying, you know, I'm having a hard time making this fit in, this is where that comes in.
Nice.
Yep. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I want to see more. I want to see, so these kids have a lot of little options to get different credits in this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But, yeah.
No. Excellent.
Pathways.
Yeah. I'll just do a quick shout out. This is spectacular. I mean, these numbers are off the charts. I mean, I think, you know, the new CEO said it, exponential growth, right? But I don't think it's an accident. I think you are the right person that has made this grow. And I think your style of leadership is really unlike something that a lot of young people may experience, which is set them up and then step out of the way, just like you said. And it made me, as you were talking, it made me think back, and I'm sure you experienced this too. My own experience, I was 22 years old, I was on the deck of a ship, and I had the deck, and there were 19-year-olds around me, and it was our game. And it was like, are you kidding me? And every once in a while, the CO pop his head in, you know, what are you doing, Butler? Are you screwing it up? And then he'd go down, and it was like, this is our show, and sink or swim, it's on us. And when you give young people the opportunity to be responsible for their futures and let them lead, I mean, look at this. They rise to it. And it could not be more exciting to see. And I don't think that's something that is practiced much with young people anymore. You know, we stand and deliver and we tell them what to do, but we don't often get out of the way and let them do it. And you have been doing that. And the evidence couldn't be more clear about how impactful that is. So thank you. And thank you guys. Well done.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, that's a perfect segue. So this will probably come as no surprise because I'm going to admit to the world that I flubbed on an email and copied you on something about you. So we'll try to, we might have a little bit of a surprise. But like everyone up here has already said, this is outstanding. It's a program that we couldn't be more proud of. It's the cadets, it's the leadership, it's the way it came together, and it has accomplished far more than I think any of us really anticipated it would or could. And we are incredibly grateful for the impact that you've had on this district. So I'm going to try to embarrass you a little bit, as your cadets are used to being called front and center. So if you wouldn't mind, would you come and stand up here and face your cadets? And we tried to think of a way to say thank you. We asked for a trip for you and Jane to Hawaii. Ashley said, no, we can't do that with public funds. So the way that a board says officially thank you is by resolution. A resolution is something that becomes official public record of the school district and stays with the district forever.
How about this? Attention on deck.
Oh, you're going to make everyone stand up. Okay. All right, here we go.
Everybody.
Resolution
Stand up.
of appreciation. Can I sit while I'm reading?
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas Command Master Chief Robert Stockton has served the Peninsula School District with unparalleled excellence and distinction since May 12, 2022, and whereas he has rapidly established an award-winning program in a short amount of time and under challenging circumstances, achieving recognition as a distinguished unit with honors, the most improved unit in Area 23, and earning numerous awards in drill, academics, and fitness, and whereas he has introduced pioneering initiatives to our district, such as Cyber Patriot, Stellar Explorers, Orienteering, and Precision Marksmanship, thereby broadening the spectrum of activities and career opportunities available to students. And whereas he has ardently prepared students for appointments to military academies, scholarship opportunities, effectively removing financial barriers to post-secondary education, and profoundly altering the life trajectories of many young people in the Peninsula School District. And whereas CMC Stockton has inspired cadets to volunteer almost 3,000 hours within our community, instilling in students a profound appreciation for service. And whereas he has successfully advocated for a fully funded NJROTC program, resulting in a significant positive financial impact on the district and enhancing opportunities for our students. And whereas these accomplishments are a direct result of his selfless dedication of time, experience, and expertise far beyond the requirements of his role. And whereas he has been steadfastly supported by his wife Jane and their children, enhancing contributions to the Peninsula School District. And whereas his work impacts and advances the mission and vision of the Peninsula School District, inspiring and empowering every child every day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Peninsula School District Board of Directors expresses its deepest appreciation and gives its highest commendation to Command Master Chief Robert Stockton for his exemplary service, with a firm belief that he will continue to make outstanding contributions to our district and the greater community in the years to come. All right, I'm gonna put everyone at ease. We're not quite done.
Okay, there's more?
We do. When we wanted to say thank you, your cadets, David, they're all still standing at attention. Can you do something here?
Okay, I didn't know we had more. At ease, sorry.
So, many of your cadets also wanted to share some personal impact stories that you had. So some of the names are different than the one I have on the list, so I'm going to leave it up to our cadet commander here to call students up to the podium if you would like to share your story, and there is a list of written impact statements that we will send to you as well.
Good evening. My name is Aiden Lurch. I've been in the program for approximately 3 years, and this past year I served as the company's command senior chief. So the goal of this is to essentially celebrate CMC for his accomplishment and the great impact he has had not only on the company as a whole, but on the individuals within the company. So CMC has spent countless hours, overnight, getting up early in the morning, working with drill teams, making sure we have transportation, just being there at literally every moment, not only as a teacher, but as a mentor to a lot of these kids, whether providing scholarship opportunities, letters of recommendation, many letters of recommendation, and other pathways for higher education. It's really had an impact along a lot of the kids, young and old. As you know, we listed the accomplishments a while ago. We have a lot of people going to academies, various ROTC programs, and beyond. And so really we're here today to just thank you, CMC, for being our naval science instructor and really putting our heart, your heart and soul into it. We can definitely see that, and we genuinely appreciate it. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Marcus Rame. I've been in this company for a little over 3 years. When I was first approached about making a speech, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how I didn't know how I could condense a person down to a 1-minute speech when they've given all of their time for me. As I sat at home trying to write my speech, the same word kept coming to my mind: leader. What makes a leader? Is it the strongest person or the best looking one? I can assure you he is neither. What I can tell you though is that Command Master Chief Stockton is a man of character. In the 2 years that I've known Command Master Chief Stockton, I figured out that there are absolutes about him. The first is that he is a man of character. This last summer I approached him with a problem. My friend and I at the time had been in an argument. My friend had found a camera, and after I had found the owner, he refused to give it back. At the time, I didn't know who to turn to for advice, so I called CMC. I told CMC my situation, and his only reply was 6 words: "How much is your integrity worth?" From that point forward, CMC's character had been etched into my mind permanently. I've never had to question his style of leadership or second guess a decision he has made. The second absolute about Command Master Chief Stockton is his loyalty. He's a man who will always be there for someone. If I need something from him, there's never a doubt in my mind that he will not perform. CMC is a man driven by determination and perseverance. Once he is in your corner, he's there permanently. And finally, the third absolute. CMC is a man who leads by example. Whether he realizes it or not, he shows cadets what a great leader looks like. He's fair, compassionate, funny, kind, and stern when he needs to be. Command Master Chief Stockton, you're my role model. You show me the type of leader I strive to be every single day. You show me how to be a man. You show me how to lead effectively, and most of all, you show me what I should find in friends. If there was someone more deserving of this award, I wouldn't believe it. The impact you have had on me, on my life, is immeasurable, and I don't know how to repay it. Thank you for the unfair wrestling matches, the banter, the friendship, the arm wrestling matches, and the arm wrestling matches I let you win. Thank you for your time that you have put into me through PT tests, my college applications, and the patience in letting me grow as a leader. CMC Stockton, you have a lifelong friend, and I couldn't be more proud to call you my instructor. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Davin Young, and I'm a senior at Peninsula High School. At my time in high school, I was luckily able to be a part of the Tidehawk and JROTC unit since the beginning. I've had many mentors in my life, but very few have stood out to me as much as Command Master Chief Stockton. He is someone who has directly impacted me in a positive way while always being there to support me. His presence has not only altered my trajectory of life academically, but also altered it morally. He always made sure you stayed true to your moral compass. One rule of life he taught me was to never give up. Pushing me not only academically, physically, and mentally to be a better person is a major reason why I was able to be selected for the National Navy ROTC scholarship. Knowing him for the last years has truly benefited my ability to grow, learn, and teach individuals throughout our unit. Without his membership in my life and guidance, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Thank you, CMC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Josh Pelzar, and I'm a senior at Gig Harbor High School. When CMC first got to the company in May of 2022, I truly did, why or how the Navy gave him the grand rank of Command Master Chief. But over the next couple of years, he really showed me why. He resembles every great trait in a leader that you could ever want. A well put together uniform, physical capability, charisma, motivation of troops, and best of all, a sense of pride. Because of Command Master Chief Stockton, I have the utmost pride in my unit in every aspect in my life. He taught me what it means to be proud of an organization and what it means to build it up, to train those around you, to motivate those around you. CMC really is the ultimate motivator. He can motivate anyone in the company. And it's truly great to see freshmen year after year coming into the company, ultra motivated to serve the community and the company and the school and the people around us. And it's all thanks to you, CMC. So this award is perfectly deserving for you. Thank you, CMC.
I remember when you first got here, CMC. I remember as soon as you walked in the room, you changed the entire dynamic of the company. I remember doing our first PT where you had us do Cadet's Best Friend diamond push-ups. And you really had us do sit-ups, and you were working together. You taught us how to work as a team. And you taught me, one of the first things you said when you first met us is, a leader's the first one there and the first one there and the last one out. They put in the most time, they put in the most effort, and you have done that consistently for 3 years straight. You've been there for everybody. You've taught us everything that you possibly can, and you set every single one of our cadets up for success. You've done everything. you've sacrificed your weekends, you sacrificed everything. You've been there at 5 a.m. in the morning, and you haven't left till like 9 a.m. at some nights, regularly around 6. So he's put in the most time and the most effort, and we wouldn't be here without you. I would not be here without you. I would probably not be CEO. I wouldn't be motivated. I don't know where I'd be without this company. And you've built this company with us. We've all built this company. So yeah, thank you very much, CMC.
Did we at least surprise you a little bit? All right. Well, we will call the cadets up for a photo, but I just want to say to all of you, it takes a lot of courage to get up and speak to someone and to share your feelings, but I applaud you for it. And I would say, especially as we are thinking of where Lori is tonight and Ross Teo, never pass up an opportunity to tell someone what they have meant to you. So thank you for doing that, because I'm sure it's something that you won't forget. All right, can we call you all up for a photo? All right, so we're going to top that with our next presentation. And cadets, if you have somewhere to go, please don't feel obligated to stay. We have a little bit longer to go in the meeting. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. Our next report this evening is item 8.2. It is our AI task force update with Chris Hagel.
All right, so thank you for having me. I'm going to keep this pretty short and quick because I also brought 4 teachers with me today who are going to talk about some of the things that are going on in their classroom. So I'll have them come up behind and I'll just give some really brief overview of what's been going on this year with some of the work that we're doing around artificial intelligence in the classroom. And so, last year in March, we put together what we called our AI Action Research Team. And last year it was about 30 teachers from all different subject areas across our secondary schools to talk about what is AI going to do and how's it going to impact our kids and how's it going to impact teaching and learning throughout the organization. These teachers have been leaders throughout the district since then. Some of them are here right now, and some of these people are new to this year. This year we expanded a little bit more, brought in some elementary teachers. Because last year we were really focusing on secondary and what its impact was going to be in secondary. So they are spending time on release days throughout the year where they come in, they learn things like prompt engineering or designing their own AI chatbots, some of those kind of things, which they can then take back and figure out how that's going to work in the classroom, and then figure out how they can help the other teachers in their buildings with some learnings about some of these technologies and topics. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. There is one other group that has been instrumental this year in helping move forward some of our work with AI in the classroom, and that's our digital innovation leads. And so are these. So these are people, one from every building, or 2 in the high schools actually, that are chosen by their buildings to come and work through different technology projects, but also to help teachers learn innovative practices in the classroom and provide professional development back in the schools. And so The digital innovation leads have taken a big role this year as well. Some of these people cross over as well. They are on both teams. And so one of the big things that we've implemented this year is magicschool.ai, which is a product that provides our teachers, and now actually our students as well, a curated, safe AI tool for teachers and students to use in the classroom and to make things easier on them to use kind of AI pretty simply. So for us, for an implementation of a tool like that, it's really impressive to see that almost 75% of all of our teachers are in Magic School already and using it. So that's a huge uptake. It has a lot of scaffolding to, so they don't have to write the deeper prompts that some of the other teachers are doing. They can just fill in some blanks and it'll actually give them the same output. So Magic School's have been a big hit this year as well. So I wanted to share that just briefly. I think most of you were at American Education Week this year when we did AI for All. We invited the community in to our two middle schools that were recently remodeled, and allowed them to go into classrooms and see what kids are doing with AI in the classroom. And so we also brought teachers into the library, for those of you that might not have been there, to talk about what are they doing as well. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was yesterday. So earlier at a previous board meeting, I mentioned that we were one of 4 districts in the nation chosen for COSIN and Council of Great City Schools' Maturity Matrix pilot program around AI in your district. And so we had some of the preeminent technology leaders from across the country come here to Peninsula yesterday. And we were here in this room for 5 hours and working on how, as a leadership team in the district, do we structure the things that we do so that we can move faster and farther with AI safely and productively. And so they had a giant matrix that we have gone through, and we're starting to piece out, oh my gosh, how do we move forward in all of these areas? But we're going to build the team and build the structures around that. Unfortunately, a lot of that's going to fall on Ashley and I. But, that's just the way that it works, because a lot of it is operational tasks that need to be done. So it was really an honor to have these people come in. They're like I said, some of the best people in the country in this job. The other 3 districts that were chosen were Fresno, Chicago Public Schools, and San Antonio Public Schools. So big districts. Even Fresno is almost 80,000 kids. So it was great for them. They did say, we asked at the end, how do we, or I think maybe it was Creston that asked at the end, how do we compare? And they said, you guys are so far ahead of all the other districts that we've been working with. And so kudos to our teachers for doing that. And that's through their work that they've gotten us there. So just wanted to share briefly about that. And then I'm actually going to turn most of this over to them, because I want you to hear from the 4 of them and what they're doing in their classrooms. And so Justin's going to start. Can we introduce yourselves too?
Yes, for sure. Thank you, board. Thank you, Ms. Barr. For a few minutes, just to share a little bit about about elementary. So I'm Justin Towner. I'm the innovation specialist at Pioneer Elementary. So I do see all kids K through 5, all 500 kids at Pioneer. And I just wanted to share twofold, a little bit teacher-facing resources with AI and how it's being used, but then also for me personally, just that student side, which is extremely important for myself and for us, I know, as a district. A couple quick things. I was gifted some time through my administration at the start of the year. I kicked off our year with what the teachers actually engaged with what you'll see students doing, so that they're able to integrate some of the AI resources within their classrooms. We also, teachers had a lot of questions that first week about what can we do? Like, what does our district believe in or allow? And having that specifically laid out was a huge conversation that we had. That was great. We've used it as a staff for a couple professional development times. We did a full collaboration Wednesday morning as we were deconstructing standards. So the goal was that we were gathering vertically with our chosen geometry math standards, and we were going to build what do students need to know and do to master vertically. We combined it with some of the tools from Magic School as well as ChatGPT, and it really gave the teachers just a direct way to see how it can impact, how we can work more efficiently, how we can get different ideas through prompting, through those AI resources. So that was really cool, and the teachers they got a kick out of it, especially those that maybe hadn't had their hands on it yet. And then we did some prompting activities with teachers. I made up a game called Guess the Prompt, and we did some activities that we've been doing with, I've been doing with students related to AI image generators. So just some connections and trying, kind of like we're doing with kids, just exploring, just kind of getting to know what's available. The biggest piece for me is going to be student, how do we introduce this to students? And I get the question a lot of like, what's my kindergartner actually doing with AI? And it's pretty amazing what they can do. And I really believe if we start at kindergarten, what they'll know and just that concrete to abstract piece, they'll be able to really get to a further spot as they get into middle school and high school. So all K-5 kids at Pioneer have had 2 full weeks over the last 2 years of innovation instruction just about AI. So just a couple of things that they do. We use Google Quick Draw so students can understand that AI can scan 50 million images a lot faster than we can, and through a predictive algorithm. It's just a game, but they get to see kind of the background of it. The goal is building from that into, we do machine learning. So my kindergartners, last year we did it where we actually used our face models and created a sensor that would only open the door if someone was happy, and if someone was sad, it might notify our counselor. So we lined up and just did it together. My 4th and 5th graders created an AI that could distinguish between equivalent and non-equivalent fractions. So it's just a range. It can be done with all ages. It just depends on how you want to get there. The middle one is a really fun Mad Libs. So K1 students did monster Mad Libs, and we used an AI image generator, and it's always the hit of the week. My older kids, we use Schoology discussions. We talk about there are tools that can be used for elementary school, and there are tools that can't. There are tools like image generators or ChatGPT that I can model and show them, but that I can use through Schoology and other ways to just kind of introduce it, and they have fun with it. Just one other final thing is we do talk about deepfakes as students get older, and we used just a graphic design tool. And there's just some fun ones in the slideshow of students learning about digital citizenship and media literacy related to that. So it's a lot of exposure, it's a lot of fun, but hopefully they can then take that knowledge and not just kind of have an idea of what AI can create, but kind of an understanding of it as they're going into middle school would be the goal. Yeah.
I was at an event last night, and a comment was made about AI and mentioned something that our school district was ahead of the curve on AI. And one of the people that was there made a comment about how he wasn't thrilled about the AI advancement in school because he was worried that they would replace human intelligence and basically allow our students to do all the work via AI and not allow their, the way I read it was not allow them to use their human brain to learn, and that they would replace the human learning with AI. What are we doing to make sure that there's still learning in here, not just, and using the AI to augment how smart they'll be with their human intelligence?
For sure. It's a great question. I think it's something that my colleagues will be able to expand on probably a little bit more as students are using it in their specific learning. But for me, what we discuss in elementary school is that's the driving question of this unit for me that I go over with kids is how can we use AI to be better learners at Pioneer, and how can we use it to increase our understanding of all these academic areas, and whether it is my example would be if we're doing creative writing. My kids are so engaged with sensory words and adjectives and diving into it when they get to see this monster being made from their writing pieces. It's just another tool to increase engagement, to create authentic learning, and kids are having fun and they're doing it. They're still having to think. I do definitely think it's how we set it up, and if we set it up in a way that does require that specific learning and thoughtful piece, that it can be a wonderful tool. Yeah.
I'm going to try and figure this out. Ooh, okay, there we go. I'm Kayla Frank, and I teach 7th and 8th grade social studies at Kopachuk, and I'm actually going to start with my second 2 bullets that kind of hit on what are we doing to try and ensure that students are still thinking, right? The purpose of school, really. And I, again, teach middle school, and they're notorious for trying to find the easy way out with everything. So I'm lucky that I was part of the action research for AI starting last spring with my 7th graders, many of whom I now have in 8th grade. So I'm able to see the through line and how they're able to use AI a little more intelligently now that they had some of the practice in the spring. With middle school, it's super important that we're constantly emphasizing responsible use of technology, which includes AI. And I like to compare it to WALL-E, which is a movie many of them have seen. So with the humans down here, they became so dependent on AI that they could no longer think for themselves, right? And a lot of my students actually have similar fears. There are some of my students who, for their own ethical reasons, do not want to use AI, and I will not force them to, right? But I still think it's important that they're being exposed to the fact that it's out there, because they know it's out there, and many of their friends are using ChatGPT, and we're using it before we even had the opportunity to discuss its use in schools. So I'm really trying to get them to see through constant conversations that AI is there to kind of help extend our thinking, or to be used as a tool to really help with our thinking and dreaming, to help kind of see what we're thinking and dreaming into fruition, to help expand upon it and not to replace our own thinking, our own imagination. And part of that too is just teaching about different AI types. So many of us engage with AI on a daily basis, whether we're driving a Tesla or using Siri on our phones, using Alexa, even Google search engine, when you type in there now, it's all using AI in the background. And so it's important that students know the different types of AI that exist, and then know how their data is being used potentially and managed in that, so that they're able to make responsible decisions as they get older. Again, recognizing that since I teach middle school especially, this has to be constantly kind of discussed. But since I've been working so hard to co-develop these guidelines with my students, I feel like they have been a little more open about approaching me with conversations about whether or not it's an appropriate time to use AI. So with certain assignments it will be, and certain times it won't. And they'll often come up and ask if it's okay or not. With that said, the great part of being able to collaborate across the district with this is we, as part of the ELA Social Studies PLC for my school, obviously it's been a big concern around copying and pasting essays, for example. That's the big one you hear from ChatGPT into whatever Schoology assignment it is. And there are apps like Revision History, which I found out about from an English teacher at Peninsula High School and was able to share with my building, where you can actually monitor student engagement. You can see how many large copy and paste there were, how many deletions, how many writing sessions they've had for the time period, and then I'm actually able to play it back. Which has been fun for some students to see. Like, maybe you need to revise this, because it's part of learning for them too. So now backtracking for that, the way I use it for students in the classroom as a social studies teacher has really been for effective research, reading, and studying support. So if you were able to make it in my classroom on one of those days at Kopachuk, I was using AI with my students to narrow down topics for National History Day, which is an inquiry project that they were working on. They used ChatGPT or Poe to actually find out topics that were of interest to them related to U.S. history for 8th grade, and then also related to the topic for National History Day this year, which was turning points in history. And so students were able to figure out topics of interest to them and narrow it down pretty quickly to help them really develop a project that they're passionate about. So for one of my students, 2 of my students actually made it to nationals, yay. But they learned about the Americans with Disabilities Act as a turning point in history. Other students learned about the integration of the NBA during the 50 to 51 season. Those are topics that they might not have gotten to on their own through Google searches, and AI was able to help them do that. Students are also using it often for research, so Perplexity.ai is a great one that it's like ChatGPT and almost like Wikipedia kind of combined, which I know we don't use Wikipedia necessarily for research, but the great thing is it has a summary of whatever you put in, and then it has sources attached to it, so my students are then able to go click on a source and then have direct information to what that source is. So for example, my 7th grade students right now are learning about early immigrant groups to Washington State. they were able to search Italian immigrants, early Washington state primary sources, and were directed right to the Library of Congress to learn more about the Garlic Gulch in Seattle. So really neat for them there. And again, an effective tool that they're going to have access to as they get older. Also for supporting comprehension for my students, students are able to reword text, so especially for my students who read below grade level, it's great, and that I've been able to help them learn how to use ChatGPT to sometimes paste like information in there when they're researching, for example, during independent research, and have like articles rephrased in text at their grade level. So they're able to do that independently while researching, which is really effective. And then for study support as well, there's a lot of fun prompts that students can use to get it to act as a tutor or to have it, provide quiz questions based on study guides that are provided. So for teacher use, like Justin, I've been kind of trying to slowly introduce it to some of my colleagues, and luckily my building's been really supportive of it, and my colleagues too. I use it all the time to help plan lessons, to like modify assignments and projects to better like address some of the UDL principles around like flexible methods, for example. And I use Magic School and ChatGPT. Magic School, I know just anecdotally from my colleagues, has been really effective, especially when we have students coming in at various grade levels, maybe speaking various languages at home, and I'm able now to like quickly translate documents in Russian for my students. Even if I don't have like a great number of them, I'm able to provide them with the sources they need quickly and still give them the English copy too, which is really helpful and something that was really challenging to do before having access to materials like that. And again, just increasing alignment with the flexible methods to achieve firm goals. So ChatGPT has some great things around creating rubrics based on projects that we're using, which I know teachers have found very helpful. But with it, we're constantly reminding, our colleagues, just like we would our students, that I like to think of it as like the 10-80-10 rule. Magic School says 80-20, but the idea that you're putting in 10% of the information, AI may be doing 80% of the work in its output, but then you're making sure that that final 10% is, again, you putting your stamp on it and making sure that it really meets what you're looking for. So, okay.
You touched on something, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it prompted me to ask a question. I know we hear all over about how we're going to come lost learning from COVID. I know at some point all of our students will have come from a time where they don't even know what COVID was. But how can AI, if y'all been talking about this in this national cohort that you're working with, about how can AI assist in helping those students that have lost learning because of COVID to make that lost learning up, because if maybe they're not in the classroom, the teacher doesn't have enough time with them during the day, or the parent, how can AI help that student make up for lost learning and get caught up, if is that something AI can help with?
So I think that kind of seems like it's aligned with what I was talking about of just supporting like struggling learners in general, although it's definitely, I think, been more pronounced obviously since COVID in the amount of students who may be struggling with certain reading and like math skills right now. I think that a lot of the things that benefit them would benefit all students, which is what we're kind of trying to do with what we're using AI for and offering supports for those students. So an example of that, again, being like rewording text so that students are able to like foster that independence and have a tool available to them where many of those students are maybe afraid to ask questions to teachers. They're able then to use the tools available to them to access the supports they need. Kind of reminding me of what you were saying about kind of getting out of the way sometimes of students and allowing them to really exercise independence with the tools available to them. So Magic School Student, which I think was mentioned earlier, is going to be another great tool, I think, for doing that, in that it's would be more managed by the district. Teachers have control over what tools are being released to students, and there's ones there that I think would support students with like vocabulary, rewriting text, and those kinds of things.
Just a quick comment. I was able to come see your class during the Spotlight on Education Week, and it was amazing. I was really blown away by it and how you, and this was early in the year, so I imagine the students have only gotten better at it, but to really understand how using the AI to get, like you said, to the place of finding a topic that was actually like relevant to the turning points in history prompt, right? But that was so relevant to their interests and then so meaningful in history as well. It was incredible, like how quickly you could test these different hypotheses, right? So like as an architect, it's always, you have the idea and you want to, as quickly as you can, iterate it down to kind of a stopping point and see is that what you want? If not, back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
And this just really lets you do that in a way that the more you could just see the kids starting to get excited about their topic. And once they're excited, then there you go. And I was so impressed with it. It was really neat to see, and congratulations on your students making it all the way to nationals.
Thank
I
you.
mean, this competition is something I'd love to see throughout our district a little bit more, and I just love that you're keeping at it and being successful. So.
Thank you.
Could I just say one thing? I think the personalization as students get used to the tool and as the teachers, as the instructors get more used to the tool, I think that we're just going to see that the ability, and I know you're going to talk about that, personalizing their needs and their learning. That has never been done really in the history of if my needs are this and her needs are that, how do you meet individually? And so as students really take ownership of their learning and do that as a kindergartner all the way up, then we're going to see students being able to use the tool in ways that are beneficial and that will grow as we get smarter together. I don't know if there's a time where, and we've had this conversation, so I'm so grateful that I've been able to observe and listen and be part of your conversations, and I know that you've had these conversations, but I don't think there's been a time in history that there's been so much information available for students immediately, within just seconds. And so how do you learn at the same time? It's like speed, not speed dating, but the speed of light, information, and how do you learn as instructors at the same time where students have access, either in or outside of school? It's a fascinating time, and you guys have met the match, so congratulations.
Being married to a teacher, I know that when you have a class of, depending on what size, 17 to 30 plus students, and the teacher has to know each unique student and where that unique student is at that point in their education. And I certainly could, that's challenging for a teacher to do that. I would think that AI could help that teacher identify more quickly and accurately where that student's need is at that moment in time and be able to help redirect individual resources to that student and help them. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I
There's a
right on
lot
that?
around like data analysis and things that are gonna, like, teachers, we do have so much to do on any given day, and I have 32 kids in many of my classes with different needs, and it's exciting to know that there are tools out there that will help me be able to meet my students' needs more effectively, like every single day, to really show up for them how they deserve. So thank you for this opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. I'm really good at talking to middle schoolers, but I get terrified talking to adults. So I'm Lauren Jarvis. I teach at Goodman. I teach 6th grade language arts, social studies. And I first want to thank and applaud our district. When you have teachers who are interested in something, you provide the time and the resources to invest in those. And so I've just really been grateful to be able to come alongside the AI literacy the AI team, but then I have teenagers myself and a college kid, and I want to grow and learn alongside them. So this has been a great opportunity, both personally and professionally. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about specifically to what our PLC at Goodman in the Language Arts Social Studies department has kind of owned this year for our vertical teaming, for how we see a scope and sequence across our district of some ideas for what is it that we would like all Peninsula school districts to know in terms of digital citizenship, responsibility, and then ethical uses of AI, and then how they can use these as tools. So Joel Eilers is a big pioneer with me on this, and we started first in the fall with, it's kind of in 3 trimesters, but AI literacy, talking about ethics and uses. And so we talk with the students. 6th grade is kind of a special sweet spot, right? They're these elementary school babies still, and they've got they come to school with everything and follow all the rules. And so we kind of can get them and teach these really good responsibility things instead of them trying to skirt around and kind of cut the corners like they are doing now in May. So, but they are my favorite. So we do, what is AI? And we talk about it, what is truly AI? They're not just these robots, they're not different things, but how do we use it every day in our life? Whether it's Alexa, a digital thermostat that reads the room, self-checkout. Today I was holding bagels, but I put one thing down and the camera started alerting because they saw the food in my hand go this way, but I didn't scan it yet. And so, camera monitoring, as well as kids who have Snapchat, they have an AI bot, they have an AI friend that they talk to, and they get information. So they're interacting with it way more than a lot of adults are probably aware. In addition to just really easy uses like Grammarly, which is a fantastic way to, instead of old spell check, just to have these tools that are so beneficial to help us enhance our learning. And then we talk about prompt engineering and what that is. And I piggyback a lot off of the Day of AI tools that Justin uses in the K-5. So it's great. He's doing the groundwork, and then I'm going to get some of those kids next year at Goodman. And we talk about ethics and bias in AI also. So Quick Draw is a great entry level because they've been experienced to it. And we talk about deep fakes, and then how information is biased and how do we evaluate and assess that information. So that's kind of just our work and conversation in the fall around it. And then in second trimester, we use AI as a tool in language arts. So our argumentative essay is a unit in trimester 3, and I always kind of challenge what's the standard I'm assessing in any project, right? Like project-based learning, UDL flexible methods. We want a kid to demonstrate their learning. So am I having them produce something because that's the standard, or can they produce it anyway and show me the standard? So our standard is to evaluate argumentative writing, and they can write argumentative writing in small responses to prompts throughout the day or through novel studies. I don't need to necessarily have them write an argument. I do believe in strong argumentative writing. I want to just say that I do believe in them knowing how to generate one. So we unpack it a little bit backwards. So I have kids pick a topic they want to argue, and they write an argumentative statement. They had to choose 3 supports to it and 3 reasons why. This is their topic sentence. This is their thesis statement. So they still make an introduction. And then I had them feed it into ChatGTP to generate an essay. They copy that essay, and then they read it and they look through it and they talk about it. And we talk about all the words that are in it that they don't use, and the language that ChatGTP does. So then I have them ask it to be rewritten at an 8th grade writing level. And we talk about the difference between a writing level and a reading level, and they are different in ChatGTP. So you're prompting it and you're feeding it, so these iterations are coming through and they see the difference. And then they copy that one, they put it in this document. It's a running document of their thought. I can track how they work through this writing process. And then they make vocabulary cards for 6 words in that essay that they don't know. So they're being exposed to this topic that they wanted to research, and words that might be power or standard or important words to that that are academic in language or content specific. So they get to explore that topic a little bit more. After that, they deconstruct it. They put it back into a graphic organizer that has the 3 body paragraphs. They have to have claim, evidence, reason, every body paragraph. And then they use the rubric that we as a department generated with AI, and it's the one that we decided to use in language arts across our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They evaluate it with the rubric, they score it, and then they give it feedback. They have to write feedback comments for why it was a 3 or why it was a 4, and they have to cite specific examples from that ChatGTP essay of why they gave that score to the rubric. And then after that, we talk about what is strong and what isn't. And they don't have a counterclaim, so one of their tasks is to produce a counterclaim on their own, and they handwrite that in a journal part to me. And then the last part is they get to, we realize there's no citation of evidence. There's some evidence, but like there's examples of evidence. There's not true evidence, and strong arguments have evidence. So they end up going out into the ether and finding evidence that they can cite, and they get about 2 weeks, some in class and some on their own time, to revise and edit the essay. And I say the essay, but really it's an argumentative project. So they can make a TED Talk, and they can give it as a TED Talk. They can make a podcast, and they can go back and forth with the person who has the counter stance. They can write an essay with an entire counter argument to it. A lot of kids, I introduced Canva, and Canva's got a great AI tool, and so they created these great presentations on Canva as if you were going to give a presentation to something, or they can just rewrite it themselves and enhance it. And it was pretty powerful. I co-teach language arts this year with many of my students have IEPs and would normally be in a self-contained resource class, and they are not. So it was really neat to see them they don't always have the words, and they don't always have the tools to produce strong argumentative writing, but it's this exposure to this idea of arguments and how do we critique. And so they're not taking the I out of the writing, right? Like they're still experiencing and enhancing it. So then that moves us to what we're doing right now, which is really excited. In social studies, we're doing Greek reports and Greek projects, and they get to pick anything in Greece that they are interested in. And they generate their topics, so they might be doing Greek theater, and then they have to give me 3 questions that would guide them to research. So if they're doing Greek theater, they can say, what is the origin of the tragedy and the comedy? How is Greek theater used in theater, influence Greek, theater today, and then Greek costumes or something like that, or themes in Greek theater. So they're using Perplexity, which I just introduced last week and this week. And what I love about this is that Perplexity, I love it better than Google and ChatGPT for this. It gives them so many sources that they can actually cite. And so they throw one of their questions into Perplexity, and Perplexity generates this thread, and next to each statement it's like number 1, number 4, number 5, and up top there's 5 sources that they can use. So I allow them to copy and paste that information, and then I tell them to pick one source to do further investigation in. And we talk about the sources. They can't choose Wikipedia. That's not a good one. They can't choose WikiSites. It's not a good one. You can't choose Khan Academy in my class. That's not an okay one for this type of things. But worldhistory.org is a great one. The Smithsonian Museum is a great one. The British Museum is a fantastic one for Greek. So they cite that source, and then it takes them straight to that web page, and they then take notes from that web page. So it's side by side to see what is generated, and then the notes they take. And then one of the things that Perplexity does, it says related questions. And so it gives kids 3 more ideas for questions that they didn't think about researching. And then so the assignment is to pick that and do that 3 times. And they'll generate 4 different sources that they had never had exposure to or never thought about. So it's been really fun to do that. We talk about a safe site, how we safe search. There's videos. There's also pictures that show up. So we talk about those. They're beginning citation in 6th grade. It's really more of a 7th grade standard. They know how to do it. It's not expected to do it. We're excited. But I want to invite you all to the Goodman Greek Festival on Tuesday, June 4th, which is a board meeting, I just realized, so you won't be able to come. Anyways, you would have been able to see some of these projects in action. I would say 2/3 of our 6th grade students are doing it, just with the many teachers that we do have. We're all doing the Greek projects, but not everybody's using the AI tools. So I feel like sometimes when I'm challenged about how do we do this with students, I'm blunt. I push back a little bit and say, what is it you're assessing? What is it you want them to do? What is it you want them to learn? Because sometimes what we expect kids to do is very different than what we should be asking them. It's what do we want them to learn is should be the question. And so when we start to kind of look at it through that lens, we can go a little bit backwards and we can get out of the way and let them just kind of play and explore. And I'm guiding them. I'm right there to ask questions. We talk about the ethics of it and how do we use it as a tool to enhance our learning. So that's it.
sorry, Mrs. Jarvis, Lauren, that my head's reeling. I won't go on, but I'm so impressed. This reverse engineering of how to learn to write an argumentative essay is blowing my mind right now, right? Like, I'm thinking about when I was first learning about writing, right? Bing, bang, bongo. That was literally what we were taught. Bing, bang, bongo. And then it's all this very, like, linear. You start from literally a blank piece of paper, and then you have to, plod your way through. And what you're describing is completely the reverse, starting at the end and going backwards. And you're doing exactly what kids love to do, which is, hey, find the errors in this thinking.
Yeah.
Find the arguments, because kids love to show you when you're wrong, right? And it's just like, what an amazing approach to get to the same goal. Like you said, what is the goal? And I just, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
I do think that teachers, we do often, like, we'll give exemplars and then we take them apart, right? And we use those as examples. Like, we model writing in general. And so this was just a really neat interactive way for kids to model writing and strong argumentative writing. And the same rubric and the same structure that they'll use for their argumentative from the Greek reports, we will use this in their Greek research in our language arts classes. We'll be using that for their informational reports. So they'll have a lot of those same systems that they did with the like, they're exposed now to the graphic organizer, they're exposed to the rubric, they're exposed to kind of that structure. You're just changing it from argumentative to expository. And so they're able to kind of like see, okay, I do need, a hook statement, and I need a topic sentence and then a thesis. Even though it is expository, it's still going to have those pieces of it, and the power of citation and sources and true evidence. And so even when the kids were looking at their argumentative essays, and I do a lot of partnering and group work, and they're always kind of connecting with each other. But before they turned in like their Canvas, it was great to hear kids say, you don't have any real examples. And one kid was researching something about like LeBron James being, like the best basketball player. And I was like, well, do you have his stats anywhere? Like, did you cite statistics? Like, that's evidence you can use. Like, find a graph, find a chart that shows something. So it's kind of just a neat way to kind of do it both. It taps into those visual pieces as well. That evidence isn't just always something they read, which really helps for our multilingual learners or kids who are reading at a different level. By using Perplexity, they get videos and images as well. And so sometimes those YouTube videos that are from the Smithsonian with information or an educational organization, those are very powerful in different ways to help students engage with the topic. So.
Hi, I'm Danielle Flores. I'm the special education teacher at Henderson Bay High School. So last year I joined the AI team, and it was amazing because it gave students that are in a reading and writing strategies class the opportunity to look at grade level text and be able to fully comprehend and understand it. So last year our big focus was on creating questions for ChatGPT to ask it and putting in text that was above their reading level so that it could break it down and the students could comprehend it at a lower level. And it was really cool to see the growth that they made, and the comprehension just skyrocketed with our students. And they've continued to use it. We actually, second semester, went to a co-teaching model for the first time at Henderson Bay, and so I'm co-teaching 9-10 English. And so the resource room students have actually gone into the gen ed classroom, and they're teaching their peers how to understand text. So right now we're doing a unit on Shakespeare, and Much Ado About Nothing, and it's hard to understand. And so they are taking words and parts of the play and putting it in ChatGPT, and it's spitting it out for them to understand. They're able to show their peers. A lot of the gen ed students in the 9-10 class had not used AI, and my resource kiddos who are now in this co-taught class are teaching and educating their peers on how to use it. Students are understanding text that they never thought they would. They're feeling included in classrooms that they never truly thought they could fit in because they couldn't understand the material. So it's been a really big focus to help our resource students teach gen ed students how to use this tool. And really, it enables my students to get answers when I'm working with other students. So if I can't get to a student right away and they have a question, they're able to come up with, how do I find this? And so they are really taking over their own learning in a lot of regards with my support. And it's just it's an amazing tool. I use it to create lesson plans at all different levels for all of my students. So it's really in-depth lessons tailored to each student. It also has helped with UDL lessons. Katie Novak was in our building this year, and she talked a lot about Magic School AI and how we can use it as a tool. And so she really got our building flying even more with it. And my co-teacher and I are able to collaborate and work for each student in the classroom at different levels. So we are really just seeing a huge trend in how it supports our students. And the biggest success, I think, for us was being able to do a co-taught class when we didn't think it was going to be possible, because these students are just starting to comprehend, and they're able to take the material they can't understand and grow with it and really understand everything that they need to at a level that they get, but their peers don't know they're doing it differently. And a lot of the kids that are special education don't want to be pointed out as not understanding the same things their peers do. So being able to have this list of questions and these tools has really supported them in understanding, but also really taking the initiative to grow and find the answers for themselves. And it's just been a really great resource and tool, and I just want to thank the district for allowing us to have these awesome tools. And Chris, for all the work you've done, because without it, I don't think we would see the growth and the comprehension that's happening.
Okay, so I'm not going to try and follow most of that because that was awesome. But I do want to talk about a couple things heading into next year. This is the last slide I have. A couple things we're working on. You heard a lot of these teachers talking about their work with UDL and AI. We are making that a huge focus going into next year on the ways that you can use AI to help teachers do UDL a little bit more easily. Sorry. So that's a big focus for us. We are also partnering this summer with Gig Harbor Chamber to provide AI and prompt engineering training for business leaders in the community. I did a presentation with the chamber back in April, and they all said, oh my gosh, we need like a 4-hour version of this, not a 45-minute version of it. So I don't remember the exact date. I think it's August 6th. But they will be here. We will have signups for approximately 50 people. Hopefully, I think we're going to get plenty, and if maybe even more. So from what we're hearing already from the business community. So we're going to do that. And then we're also deeply in the process of trying to build our own AI tools for next year. One of the things that we're seeing is we're getting out farther and farther ahead as we're actually getting out in front of the market as well. And so some of the ideas and the things that we want to do and have in front of our teachers and even our parents aren't out there yet. So we're going to have to figure out ways to build our own. And so one of the partnerships with AWS, being here yesterday, Amazon Web Services, if you don't know them, they're offering us some possible opportunities to where they may fund the development of some of these things, so we don't have to even pay for them. So we'll see how that goes this summer, but that is work we're deeply embedded in, and you will see more of that coming in next year. But I want to open up to any other questions of me, or more specifically the teachers that disappeared on me and are no longer here anymore.
There's no one else in here.
Yeah.
Questions down here?
I'll ask it, but the future. So I took a computer programming class in middle school.
Yeah.
They had computers?
C.//
They didn't have computers then.
It was a card that we punched in a mathematical program.
Yep.
That was computer programming when I was in middle school. And it did equations, and that was it.
That's called a calculator.
That was called the 70s. So in the fire service, I had to write a lot of reports, and so back in 1988, we got a program, and we could push AutoGen and it would generate our report narrative. But it just took the data and put it in, and it was awful. So then fast forward, and I see this today, and I'm going, wow. What's next?
I have never seen anything moving as fast as AI is moving right now.
Right. Yeah.
The things that they came out with last week were unbelievable. The vision that AI can now, if you haven't seen any of the demos, they're crazy. You literally hold your phone up and it will communicate with you what it's seeing. You know, we've been interfacing with AI for about 1.5 years now via text, and they're already moving to vision and audio.
I do it with Plant Finder.
Yeah, but like on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they were walking,
Google Lens.
the demo that I showed to some of the teachers last week was they were walking around a room and they were having the AI talk about different things on the desk. And then they said, oh, wait, where were my glasses? And it said they were back over there by the apple. And it remembered it, you know, as it was walking through the room, and it knew where the glasses were sitting on the desk. And so, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, what can this even look like, you know, and what can we do with that? And we're still trying to figure that out, and that's only been out a week now. So, and I mean, Microsoft made announcements today. I haven't even been able to catch up with. Apple's scheduled to in 2 weeks. So, like, everything is changing so fast, you don't even know. But we're doing what we can to keep up.
Just because they're using AI to design it, and it's just,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
building up on itself.
To some degree, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's scary
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. I mean, I talked to somebody about, hey, I would like to buy blah, 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 and then ads pop up on my phone.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that yesterday in the workshop that we were doing. And, you know, what if you could take that technology that's marketed just to sell you things, but what if you could take that technology and then utilize it to educate our kids? Like, turn that technology that's being built on selling people and making money.
Yeah.
What if you move that to actually helping kids? And that was our new chief of schools that brought that up yesterday in our workshop. Yeah.
I know in China, kids watching TikTok there, they're not watching what our kids are watching.
Mm-hmm.
There's limitations and stuff, and so
Yeah.
if we can somehow control that environment and get it focused on learning, and those are some of the things that really scare me. It's just where this goes.
Yeah, I think, you know, we talked about at the last meeting about social media, and I think, you know, some of the work that these teachers even talked on today about ethics and bias, and I think we're trying to make sure that we don't create the same mistakes that we did 10 years ago when social media came out with AI, and so we're trying to be more cognizant of that as we embark on these changes, but they're coming at us faster than we can keep up. So, and they're coming into the school, you know.
But that was the question I was gonna ask, is that it is evolving so rapidly, and you got a nice team here that's like totally bought into AI, but what's the district doing for professional development for the other teachers?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, why go in, like, you know, Canva's a pretty cool thing, but I don't know how to use it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried, and I'm like, okay, I can't get my head around this yet. And I didn't have time that day to learn it, but I've
Yeah.
seen what Canva can do, and it's quite amazing. But
Yeah.
what are you doing as far as professional development for our staff to be able to come alongside AI so it's not so overwhelming and scary to our staff, so that when they're needing to use it for our students, that they'll know what they're doing?
Sure. So one of the big conversations we were having yesterday when we were working with the workshop was that we need to do a better job of not talking about AI in its own bucket. Like, talking about good instruction and how you can use AI to make that go faster. Or we were talking about operational efficiencies and using AI to make those better. And so instead of just AI, everybody's gotta learn AI. Like, you need to figure out the little piece that you need to be able to build your lesson plan faster, or, you know, write that rubric, or create the hundreds of letters of recommendation that the master chief is doing. So, you know, it's those things. It's trying to teach them how to use AI in the things that they need to do. And so, we're working with, we have some dates set up with our principals, hoping, not hoping, planning that they are going to lead that instructional work next year in their buildings. But a lot of them rely on these teachers that are in the AI Action Research team and some of the digital innovation leads to actually do some of that work in the buildings. And so it's kind of a train the trainer model is the way we're working on it now, because that's the, with our reduction in staff this year, that's kind of the model that we're moving into, is so we're training these teachers to train the other in their PLCs or in the buildings.
I think another comment though to make, and thinking about, I think, was it Lauren or Kayla? I can't remember who exactly mentioned it, but giving time and the ability for people to collaborate. One thing that when I've had the opportunity a couple times to come and join your group is the conversations that are happening are so rich, and they're so filled with, well, what if you try this? Or I'm trying this, and what do you think about that? I mean, it's really, truly educators who are gifted in their knowledge base, looking at a new tool and trying to embed it into the work that they are doing in different ways. And so our principals, number one, are going to have to be using the tool themselves. I know we have made a commitment in our cabinet that we use it all the time. And I know I use it imperfectly, but we are getting better. Like, we have been prompt engineered for 4 hours. I just said yesterday, we need a 2.0. But when we're sitting there with the Amazon Web Service people in the nation, and there's 3 of them, and they're saying, we want to help you build something. And we're like, we're not exactly sure what we're going to build, but we know that we need something. We're not going to do that in a vacuum. It has to be, this is an interactive, human approached AI integration and implementation. And so professional development can't just be a one and done, or this isn't like you're going to go in for an hour at back to school and learn how to do that. We have to have people that are willing and that they know that there's going to be failures along the way. Like, it's frustrating with anything that is a new technology. But what I can say is, viewing the group, and tomorrow, how many of you are hosting our WASA person? A couple of you, thank you. Yep. We have WASA coming in, the Central Office Association, come in to see the work that is being done, because these are people that are willing to try. And I know that teachers all over America, all over the world probably, are trying different things. And so I think as people try, we just get better and better. But the professional development, I think, is real. And there are systems that are saying we're going to ban it, or we're not. And that genie is out of the jar. Yeah. The genie in a jar, bottle. Genie in a bottle.
Yes.
Like, that is out. So to put your head in the sand, and we were told yesterday, I'll just share, we were told that we are ahead, but the other 3 school districts are very eager and they're paying attention. So we can either just sit in our laurels and feel like we're good, but are we ever going to be good enough? So we are committed to being good to great and listening to the teachers to say what is it that they need as well. So.
Yeah.
Is this work primarily around academic and teaching and learning? Because it struck me, especially with the AWS pilot, can you use some of this on like our processes? I'm thinking about Ashley and like our procurement process. Okay.
Yeah. But I think I could also see Ashley's face a few times yesterday. It was like, oh my gosh, I could.
Yeah.
The things that we
Yeah.
can do.
Well, just thinking of tracking across, like reports tracking and things that require multiple people to punch and handle multiple steps.
I think that'd be an excellent presentation from someone, but how does that look? What's that look like?
Well, Ashley and I are speaking at WASBO on AI for business leaders and the business office people in July. So, in July.
all business officials, AP, payroll, everything. The business managers conference caters more to your executive directors, your CFOs, the individuals that are in the leadership positions running the operations of the school district. Chris and I are presenting that group on integrating AI into finance.
And with that, I mean, to tag on to what Jennifer was saying, I'm thinking about our piece of it as well and how we can align. So if you're building something for a nationwide model for schools, you take, I mean, it can, Washington state standards, what we build is our SIP and DIP and our mission and
Yep.
vision, and how we align our policies and how that plays down into the schools and then to our students. I mean, I would love to see it be.
Yeah, there's really some
connected.
fascinating things you can start looking at when you look at like a curriculum that we adopt. Like for instance, an ELA curriculum, and you take that, and then you take UDL and what we know about UDL and our Danielson framework for effective teaching, and then you also layer that with like the preferences the students have to learn, or what you know, like you mentioned earlier about what's every student, and utilizing and pulling all those things together and having AI help you personally target every single kid where they are and how to move them to the next step. One of the work that we did yesterday was how to move us as a district, and what are the steps, if you were taking this rubric, what are the steps to get from, if you're a 2 in this area and want to move to a 3 in the rubric, what are some of the KPIs that you would use to get there, and what are the goals that you should set? And so just doing that same kind of concept spread throughout our organization, whether operationally or instructionally, and utilizing AI to help brainstorm. Like we were doing that a little bit in the afternoon, and we were like, oh my gosh, this would have taken us 5 hours to come up with these KPIs. We did it in 2 minutes with AI, and now we can actually just go and start working on implementing that change, instead of spending hours trying to figure out what are the steps to get the change that we want to see happen. So.
The prompting stuff is the key.
Yeah, thoughts from students?
You gotta have something.
Oh, he already got me before the meeting, so.
It might be different now, though.
Oh, it could be, yeah.
I mean, if there's any specific questions you want to ask us, that'd be great. I'll say it looks like with this task force, they're doing a lot of great work, but on the student level, whatever you're seeing with AI is definitely going to depend on your teacher.
Oh, got it.
So some teachers seem more, I guess they're trying to learn about it, trying to expand, and trying to intentionally teach about it, while others are kind of, pushing it away.
Sure. I think that's just comfort and familiarity, and
Yeah.
same with cell phone policy. I mean, whatever
It's
it is.
it's changed, and there's different levels of the speed that people move. So.
Well, I was feeling pretty proud of myself for using ChatGPT, and then every time you guys get in front of me, then it's like all of these other things. So perplexity, and I have all these notes of things that I'm going to go check out. But so, what's your go-to AI?
Generally, when I have allegedly used it, it usually comes in the form of just like, give me a summary on this topic or concept, and then, kind of analyzing that, then, rewriting it to an extent in my own classwork. In terms of like, I guess like more traditional like summative assessments, I mean, you're not really supposed to use it very often, and it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of leniency in terms of like using AI in any form on like big essays, at least in my experience. So that would be something to kind of expand. So the trends that we're seeing with this group is more broad, I guess, in scope. And do you have anything to say?
So the sort of follow up what Logan said is, I know there's a lot of worry from parents and people that students, whether it's in K-12 or upper ed, will use ChatGPT to just write all their papers for them. But, I mean, there are tools now that are in place to tell if AI wrote the papers, right?
They don't work.
Huh?
They don't work.
They don't work?
No.
Okay, so what do we do to make sure, how do we check for ethical writing or?
So I think that would be better off to, I'll let the teachers actually respond to this, because they have a much better answer than I will.
I mean, that for me, as a school board member, I want to know that, see, I was under the impression that someone came up with
Justin's making monsters, not checking for ethical rating.
No, I'm saying that there's concern that students and people, period, whether, not just students, but people will use AI to write everything for them, and that they don't have any of their own thoughts involved. I know when I've used ChatGPT, I give it prompts. I'm not as skilled like you, but I tell it, here's what I want, and then it'll ask me, do you want us to grade it? And I'll say yes, and I'll say you could work on this, and I give it more detail, and I layer it. It said, would you like us to use a focus group to read it again? I'm like, sure, artificial focus. And it helps me get through it, and I'm just basic. But I was under the impression that there was a tool that could tell if the essay and the papers were written by AI, and you're saying no.
No, I'll tell you why. It's like, so there's a ton of research that's been done, and there's absolutely no way to detect it because it can be faked with no effort whatsoever. Like, you can ask it to say, take these 2 words out, and it fails. Like, the tools just are never going to be able to detect when it's written by AI because it's just essentially language, and it's trained on language across trillions of parameters. And so, you know, there's no way to know, did a human put those 2 words together, or did a computer put those 2 words together? Like, that's not something you're ever going to define.
Plagiarism, but not
Well, and then plagiarism's a whole other topic that we could spend
Yeah.
a long time on. What is plagiarism these days?
Yeah.
But I'm going to let them talk about how, as a teacher, they can do.
Yeah. So the tool I was referring to was revision history, and it's not it doesn't detect if something is AI or not. It detects or it's able to monitor the student writing process, meaning that I'm able to go through and it's automatically embedded in Google Drive. So if I add an assignment in Schoology, when students open up their own assignment in Schoology, it's really creating a copy of my assignment. So it goes into my folder. So students don't have to download anything to their Chromebooks. It's just on my end. I'm one of the editors on the assignment. And I'm not able to see whether or not they used AI to write it, but I'm able to see how many large copy and paste they've had in the document. I'm able to see how many times they hit the backspace button. I'm able to see how many times they've corrected their words, how long they've spent on the writing process, how many times they've went on it, whether it's 5 minutes, 12 minutes. I'm able to see the breakdown for each time. Granted, again, I teach middle school, and they are going to find a way, some of them, to take the easy way out every single time. And they may find a way, just like I'm sure many of us did, to cheat on some assignments growing up. I mean, but the goal is, again, to have ongoing conversations so that they're understanding the purpose on why we're learning these things. It ties into what Lauren said about what are we teaching and why. My goal in social studies might be for them to learn something different than in ELA, like if they're writing a paragraph. And I'm trying to get them to explore a concept, how that looks might be different. But revision history has just been helpful for seeing the writing process. Again, they could theoretically type an essay in ChatGPT and take the time to retype it all out, delete things, misspell things intentionally. But if they do all of that, kudos to them, honestly. So
They're still learning.
I know. I think Kayla kind of said it well, but so many things go through my head when I hear that, and the fear is so true. I'll throw him into the best. My college kid had an 88% AI in an essay he did this year, and he almost failed that class, and he had to own that. He never got exposure. He just heard AI was a way to cheat, right? It was a way to get the things done, versus he is a kid on the spectrum who could have taken chunks of a passage, thrown it into ChatGPT and said summaries the main elements, right? Using as these tools to help assist us. When you were talking about the way you use ChatGPT to generate something, get a focus group, in my head I'm like, what a great revision and revise and editing process you did to get to the final point, right? And so again, it's what are we wanting the kids to do versus what are they wanting the kids to learn. So for language arts, I get this all the time. A lot of the fear is if you're in social studies or language arts and you want them to write an essay, I think about how many times it's on demand. And if it's on demand, you're monitoring that in real time versus them going home and writing something. But that's why breaking down those pieces of the writing process is so important. And so just working alongside peers, that we're not just going to say, go write an argumentative essay, right? Here's your rubric, here's your guide. We're going to work through and task 1, task 2. And if you see the documents on that we're using in our department, it says task 1, do this. So it breaks down the steps, and they get points for each step It's not an end process that I'm grading. And taking that idea of like, I'm not teaching them anything. We're facilitating their learning. These students are amazing. They can learn anything they want in the internet on their own. We learned that over COVID, right? So how do we take this idea that they like out of the picture and say, let's facilitate healthy learning. Let's facilitate healthy habits. Today, when I was talking to my kids about Perplexity, if I'm in a film editing class, then using a film editing AI program is not appropriate to edit film, right? But if they're doing a presentation, like if they're reenacting a mythical, like a mythology, like a theater from Greece or something, right? Now I'm stumbling on my words. Then they could cut those scenes and throw it into a AI film editing. That's an appropriate tool to be using. But so I think that when we talk to our peers and educators in each class, there's things that are appropriate and things that are not appropriate for AI. Just like in any tool or exposure that we do, kids have struggled with that idea of like copying word from word, right? From us when they used to go to the library and check out the book and they're researching penguins and penguin habitats, right? It's the same thing. It's just done with a computer. Like it's just done with electronic, like a tool. And so that education and conversation, I'm excited to see maybe we grow more. One of the things in our district is, what does K-5 look like? What do those ed tech standards look like? What do the SEL standards that get attached to them look like? What does that band that kindergartners are doing, first graders are doing? So I know when they go to middle school, I'm just building on these pieces and these practices. And then also high school is all the way through their educational, and they're not owned by just different departments. Language arts and social studies are not only doing this. How is science using this? How are our CTE courses using it? It opens up so much opportunity. And so that's the point of this group, is we just keep having these discussions and coming alongside our peers that are fearful, our parents who are fearful. All my parents were notified we're going to be using these. They can opt out, and I had mixed reviews. My parents took a survey so I could get a gauge for their pulses on how they were feeling about, like, before we use it, what questions, concerns you have. We're looking at like a potential parent night at Goodman next year. Joel and I are talking about like how can we expose them to what does it actually look like. And so I'm probably talking way too much, but I think that it's such a good conversation to still have. But going back to what are the practices, I think, too, of us as teachers, how do we kind of change that thinking to come alongside this as well? So.
And I would just echo what you guys have said, that revision history is huge, and kids are going to find a way to cheat if they want to cheat. Mm-hmm. It's teaching them how to use AI to support them, not to get to the final product right away. It's creating the steps you need to create that final project. So revision history has been huge.
Chris, didn't you say that there hasn't been an increase or?
I was just going to tell you that's
okay. Go ahead.
So, I was recently at a conference, and one of the keynote presenters was talking about 20 years ago. They did a study, and it showed that 71% of high school students cheat. And they did the same study in the last 3 to 4 months, and it's 71% of students in high school are cheating. Like it hasn't changed no matter what the tools are over the last 20 years. The kids still cheat. You just look at yeah. So, no, AI is not leading to this onslaught of cheating that's never been there. It's always been there. So it's just,
we use
what are
clip
these teachers
notes.
doing?
Remember the black and yellow little books? Like if you had, is that any different?
So, yep.
Well, I have actually had lunch with my 21-year-old son today, who is so anti-AI because he just feels like it just violates his intellectual integrity. So I'm going to make him watch this. I think he would really enjoy it. And we talked about Wally in this conversation. And I said, until we're drinking this pizza out of a cup on the Axiom, I think that we are not quite there yet.
Good.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a question for each of you. Come on up, Justin. I think this is your opportunity. I mean, you four are representing a group of people on a task force and others in the building. So what might we need to consider in our district in order so that all of our students have opportunities to engage in high-level lesson plans that, that teachers have really engaged them with AI. And I mean, I'm just thinking there's going to be another tool next week, and there's going to be another Perplexity 5.0. Like, it's not going to stop. So what would you suggest? What do teachers need in order?
I always say this comment, not everyone's 0 to 180 like some of us are. And so we need gentle pathways. We UDL it just like we do with our students for all staff members in our district. And so we talked about at our last meeting that what are entry points, whether it's a survey we send out as a team to staff now saying like in August, what do you want to see? And then we build benchmarks for them. So some people just need time to magic school AI, like there's 72%. So how much of that, like let's break that down even more. 18% haven't even started. So they're going to need some support. And then maybe like 30% are doing, like they've opened it, they have an account, they've done one or two things, and they're like, I'm not, just because 72%, it's just opening up the website and stuff. So there needs to be those entry points for each teacher for that comfortability. And then the encouragement. I think we talked about one of the things is like, what is allowed and what isn't allowed as an educator to make my practice more efficient. And then that's like a great starting point. And then once there is some conversation and like, oh, this is district policy, teachers can do this, students can use this. So you just educate slowly along the way. So there's an entry point, then there's the next point, you've played with this, you're ready to try on this. And then just saying it, like try it and fail again, and then try it again. Or try something different and tweak it different. We all just had time to play. We also have passion and excitement, right? Like have the willingness to try it on. But most of us tried it on because we also didn't know, and we're like, well, if we're gonna build like really far down deep into this, then I want to make sure I understand it too when I talk to my peers about it. So I just really think we always say time, and then that's something that kind of goes, right? But I think UDL it, those flexible methods for all, and understand that it's a lot. Technology is a lot, whether it's Schoology or PowerSchool or Google, or Slide Deck, right? Every teacher, every staff member is approaching technology with a different level. And so universal language about what is the expectation of our district, what is our message going to be the community and to students and families, and then how do we make entry points and exit points for teachers at their comfortability level. So.
I think, it's important to acknowledge it takes a lot of vulnerability to be talking about AI even in front of a room full of students, some of whom know a lot more than we do. And that is a vulnerable position to be in, I think, as a teacher. It can be scary when AI is moving so quickly. And, even though we have a lot of experience with it, we're by no means experts. And it can be scary to be in front of a room full of students trying to talk about something that you don't necessarily feel like you're an expert in yourself. So I think while acknowledging that AI is moving quickly and we want to kind of stay ahead of it and, maybe in the forefront of what's happening nationally, that it's also important to recognize that it's going to take a while for some of our teachers to feel comfortable using it. And I also think to acknowledge there are, students that may not want to use it for their own ethical reasons and having alternatives for them. But when we're talking about, really thinking about what students are going to need in the future, thinking about like now already a lot of the skills that we teach are related to like soft skills, right? The businesses are looking for like collaboration and how to work as a team. A lot has changed already, but knowing that it's going to evolve even more with technology, students still need to learn the basics, but also how can we evolve our practices so that when students are in high school, they're maybe not able to just write an essay with ChatGPT anymore, but what can we ask them to do next? Maybe co-develop it. I know some colleges are now like requiring students use ChatGPT and posting conversations about, with ChatGPT, with their essay to see kind of what that looked like. But I think just going into next year, really focusing on trying to get teachers comfortable with using it and really doing that through a message that this could make your life easier. teachers are feeling overwhelmed, as I'm sure we've heard nationally, with burnout. And Magic School is so neat because it's actually created by teachers for teachers. And all of the tools are for teachers. And it's very user-friendly. So my colleagues, some of whom have been teaching longer than I've been alive, they are willing to use it because they're able to see, my building has given us time for teachers to use it to see practical applications for their own, their own practice. And when teachers are then able to become comfortable with it, with their own practice, I think that they'll be more willing to kind of see how does this look with students. But it takes time, so.
I think making sure the first step is teacher comfortability, but also making sure that all building admin have a chance to really use it and dive deep so that they can be there to support their teachers. I'm really thankful that Brian Tovey, the principal at Henderson Bay, uses it and really wants us to try it and do different things, but not every building has that. And so making sure that all principals have a comfort level and they can really talk to staff about it, and then giving each staff member time to play and interact and really just sit and see what it's going to do, because once you become comfortable, it becomes easier. So really that time and making sure that all building admin are on board and are using it so that it shows the staff in the building that it's okay and that they feel comfortable.
And just to kind of echo the timepiece for teachers, for me, the bang for my buck this year has been when I can show them something. My teachers don't need to know the fundamentals of AI right now. They want to know that, hey, Towner just showed me something that is going to save me time after my kids go to bed tonight, or I can do something that's going to impact all 20 of my kids through my instruction. So, like Chris was saying earlier, the integration piece. They need to see that these tools can be used to make student learning better, to save them time, to be better teachers. For student learning, I would definitely just like to advocate for, I know that for me personally, I'm fortunate at our only STEAM magnet school to have an opportunity that we have innovation. Of course, we don't need AI teachers. We need teachers who integrate this, and everything that I'm doing throughout the week for my units is it's math, it's reading, it's writing, right? It's specific Common Core standards. Now it is sprinkled in, right? And they need to understand the concepts. So what are we doing to make sure that all 10 elementary schools have access to this information from their teachers, from their specialists? I think that's just a good question going forward. And we've talked as a team to the vertical piece. What do we want fifth graders to leave all 10 elementary schools knowing and being able to do? And then how do we guarantee that they have access to that in their buildings? I think is an important question going forward.
Is it something, Chris, that like you could have when you have all the staff come to the big gym and they're all in there as a big group, and to be able to have a 2-hour professional development workshop for the whole school district? And you already thought about that, right?
Yeah, I was looking at John because they were planning that today. I don't know. I'm going to leave that to the teaching and learning department to figure out how they want to work that out. But personally, I think that it's going to be most productive when they have kind of the conversations that I think Danielle just alluded to, with the principals leading that in their building and the principals giving teachers time to work on it, more so than us hiring a big name speaker to come to the gym and talk to them about AI.
I didn't think we need to hire anything. I mean,
I know, but either way, or any of us standing
You're
up
the
there.
big name, man.
That's fine, but you can't be a prophet in your own. Anyway.
I think what's important is to connect. Justin, you kind of hit the nail with the hammer. These metaphors are not flowing well. They're just not. I need AI help. Better metaphors for Superintendent Barr. But I think connecting time with efficiency and wellness, and that it makes you more efficient. And it makes you be able to meet the needs of your students in a variety of different ways that maybe you wouldn't think of. And I think if we can tie those two things together, we have a wellness initiative, but we also have, that holistic, how do you do your job more efficiently and better and reaching all children? So I think connecting all those dots is our responsibility to do. And also, I think giving access and higher skill, Chris knows what I'm going to talk about, micro-credentialing or some kind of prompt engineering access to people. That's what we're going to do with the chamber, but we also need to do that with our principals and really figure out who of our principals are kind of that task force level of interest and skill and ability, as well as I think we're obligated. Last year, you guys did such an amazing job, and we opened it up during the day, and we had very few people come, right? I mean, we had specific people come, but really all parents in Peninsula School District should know and be able to understand the work that we're doing. So maybe that's part of our back to school expectations, or I'm sure if we got our principals together, they would have an idea. But even if we ran all of our parents through in some manner, a 2-hour or a 1.5 hour, entry, so that everyone has basic knowledge. Because I think right now, some families do, some families don't, some children do, some children don't, some teachers do. I mean, we're kind of in that odd space.
Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, old business for this evening. We have item 9.1, board operating protocols. Tonight was supposed to be our second reading and adoption, and I'm going to request the board that we table this. I think we have a little bit more work to do on it, for one. Two, I'd like to run it through AI and see if we can get it really clear and organized. Yeah, aligned to our standards. And also, since it's our board operating protocol, I would hate to vote on something without Lori here. So is that okay if we table? Okay. That takes us to item 10.1, our monthly budget update with Ashley Murphy.
I have prepared an hour and a half long presentation for you guys tonight.
You shouldn't have if you ran it through AI. It only should be 2 minutes.
Of course, on numbers, okay? We're gonna go through this number sequencing. Actually, prior to even jumping into that, sorry you guys, I wanted to give an update on our state audit, okay? So, we did recently conclude on our state audit. I want to just go over high level what our state audit focused on this year. So our audit began mid-January and lasted until beginning of May, about first week of May. So we're talking 4 months. It was approximately 600 audit hours of looking at source documents to support different areas of the audit that I'll speak to. So a ton of extensive work looking at what Peninsula School District has been doing with our revenues and expenditures over the last 3 school years. So from an accountability perspective, this is where the auditors are coming in. They're looking at how we're spending our money. They're ensuring that we are compliant with local, federal, and state laws. The auditors chose a 3-year cycle for this. So they went back last school year and 2 prior years. They looked at use of restricted funds. That is professional learning funds that we get from the state that's dedicated to doing some of these things that you heard Chris talk about for AI and some of the training that's going to be occurring during the summer. So state gives us dollars. We have to put it towards 3 specific days, meeting an RCW based upon the cycle that year of what needs to be trained on. So they looked at that documentation to ensure that we were utilizing that funding for those specific sources. They also looked at our local revenue, our levy, ensuring that it was spent in accordance with our levy proposals, state RCWs in regards to what is enrichment, and ensuring that we were doing everything legally from that perspective. They looked at compliance with supplemental contracts for enrichment activities. So again, this is levy dollars that are utilized on either athletics. It could be stipends for, ASB, yearbook, whatever it happens to be when it's considered an additional fund to a staff member in the district, ensuring that we have all the appropriate support per RCW. They looked at accounts payable, so these are just costs out. So when we're paying invoices, They looked at what's called general disbursements, so it could be our utility bills, it could be our property insurance bills, all of those type of things. Credit cards, so districts do have credit cards, just like most other businesses. Credit card transactions, they're ensuring that we're spending on appropriate purchases, that we aren't accruing interest, we're being mindful of dollar and usage, and that we have all appropriate support. Travel expenditures, again, same thing, make sure we have the appropriate support, make sure that we're not flying people everywhere in first class and wine and dining them on lobster and steak. And then they're looking at electronic fund transfers. So when we are paying bills and we're doing it through an EFT transfer, they want to ensure from a cybersecurity standpoint that we have appropriate safeguards in place to protect public dollars. They also looked at procurement. So public works projects and professional services. So think about this building. Okay, they're pulling these contracts, they're looking and ensuring that we did it in compliance with state and federal laws. We're utilizing state matching dollars appropriately. We're following all advertising requirements, all of those pieces. So they took a look at all of that. They also looked at compliance with the public works projects, prevailing wages, change orders, retainage requirements on these larger projects. They looked at open public meetings, okay, to ensure that we were abiding by all of the Open Public Meetings Act for executive sessions, for our meeting minutes. And then lastly, they looked at the financial condition of the district. And it was really interesting when they got to that part and said, but we're going to want to look at your financial condition. Remember, they're auditing last year and the 3 prior years. And they said, we've noticed a 3-year declining trend in your revenues and increases in expenditures and a decrease in your fund balance. And so we're worried about you guys. And it's like, awesome, great. Yeah, we did all that work last year. Here's everything. Was able to hand it all over, showed that we were able to right size the district. They looked at our finances this year and said, yeah, you passed. You got an A+. Looks like you guys are good to go. And then they were able to sign off on that piece of the audit. So all of those areas, that's just the accountability audit. That's not even the full audit we went through. All of that, no findings, no management letters. They said, okay, you're doing a good job. Continue on until next year. Then they looked at our actual financial statements. So everything that we actually prepare, this is more from like an accounting standpoint, money in, money out. Are we accounting for it appropriately? To ensure that our financial statements are aligned to what they should be, that we're transparent, we're reporting accurately, and we had no issues on that side. They also looked at federal programs. So they selected Title I, so our federal dollars coming in for Title I, and they selected our federal dollars coming in for the special education program. And they go through a significant audit process of those programs, what we're utilizing the dollars on, ensuring that we're meeting our earmarks and our compliance requirements for all of those grants, and we passed in all of those areas. No findings, no management letters, and we looked good. So that's the update for the audit. We passed. Yay! So a big shout out to Lisa and Jana. That federal audit really hit their office hard as far as total number of man hours. To both have title and SPED picked up in the same year is a huge just work task as far as being able to pull everything, get it on over to the auditors. But they did a great job, and we're looking forward to that not being audited next year because we already know that they're looking at our food service program next year. So that's good. They cycle. Okay, so that's the audit. Do you have any questions about the audit? Okay.
As a former government banker with a very intense public finance background, considering the fact that we have school districts in financial conditions across the state that are in binding conditions. Marysville School District is in binding condition, could be turned over to the state this week. Moses Lake last week laid off 100 of their staff without notice. Seattle Public Schools has a $105 million deficit, and they're in the process of closing 20 elementary schools. The fact that our school district is found 0 findings in such a financial situation across the state is remarkable. So well done.
Thank you. It's definitely a team effort, but we got ahead of the curve and fixed the problem before it was a problem, and that's the key piece. And we're going to continue to do that. It's just being proactive with our finances. So, okay. Oh, it's my job. That's why I'm employed. Okay, so this is our month-end closeout for April. Remember, April is a property tax month. So when you're going through this and you're looking at fund balance, no, we did not win the lottery. But we did collect property taxes. I guess you could view that as a semi-lottery win. But the state decreases our payments in the months of May and June significantly, to the point where I have to draw from our fund balance of approximately $7 million a month to get through those 2 months to pay the bills. Because although the state is fully funding us, they're not actually giving us the money in the months that our expenses actually occur, because they like to give it to us in July and August. So you're going to see higher fund balance. That is normal. We always see that in October and April. So here we're looking at revenues. To date, we've collected approximately a percent over where we expected to be in revenues. I think I skipped ahead. I did. So that's that magenta semicircle up there. So we're about a percent over, which it's good to be tracking that. We want to make sure that we are moving with the ebbs and flows of our revenues as they come in. Our local sources, you're going to see we're approximately 3% over what we had anticipated. So with local levies, there's always a situation where you have past due taxes, and individuals, through either the sale of properties or they come into some money, they pay some past due taxes. Districts and other levying entities can still collect on those past due taxes, which can send your percentage of collection over 100%. So peak COVID times, districts were seeing that percent under 100 because not everyone was able to pay property taxes. Now districts are seeing the amount collected be over 100% because they're collecting on these past due taxes from prior years. So it's normal for us to see that at this point. State resources, you can see actual year to date. We're at just under where we had anticipated. Remembering that almost 25% of our state allocation comes in July and August. So this is simply tracking where we are right now. Federal resources, we blew that percentage out of the water by October of this year due to the free meal programs at 2 of our elementary schools. I was able to confirm that we will be offering free meals at Minter Creek next school year as well. So we will be adding a 3rd elementary school to the free meal program due to the House bill that was passed by the state, the legislative session prior to this last one, so last school year. So we're in the works of getting information out in regards to that. The one I'm looking at says April. That one does say March. Can you pull from the email from earlier today? Sorry. Yeah. I pulled my copy directly from that email, Tanya. You're good. Yeah. Make some small talk. There you go. Yeah, that one. Does that one say April? Okay, good. Okay. Okay, there we are. So those are the semicircles that I was just talking about. You'll see our breakdown of our top 10 revenue sources. Those tend to stay the same from year to year. Okay, expenditures. We are still tracking to be approximately 7% for ending fund balance, which is solid and healthy and good for us. So that's positive. Total expenditures year to date, we're currently about 64%, when we had anticipated to be at 66%. Again, this is good. We're being conservative with our spending, and we're really making intentional decisions in regards to dollars out the door. Salaries and benefits, we had projected to be at about 66% at this point. We're at 65%. And basic education dollars out the door, we had anticipated to be at 67%, and we're currently at just under 66%. Okay, again, this is my favorite graph because this gives you more of a picture of where we've been and where we're going. So we want to ensure that we hit at least that green triangle. That's our goal. Ultimately, I need to start the year with $8 million in the bank in order to get through fall payroll, based upon the apportionment cycle in which the revenues come into us. And so that solid blue line is where we are at. You can see we're following the same trend line. In April, we peak, then we go down to one of our lowest points of the year, and then we stabilize as we get that additional nearly 25% from the state in July and August. This goes into a little bit more detail in regards to each one of our revenues and expense categories as far as local tax. As you can see, year-to-date percent of budget for local tax collected, we're currently just under 95% for April. That is really good because we do see a good chunk as far as percentage-wise coming in the month of May. And so that's positive to see at this point. And then the rest, what we're actually looking at is your current year to date. I'm tracking to see how much revenues I've received over expenditures at this point to ensure that we can meet payroll and AP obligations during our 2 months where we receive lower payments. So at this point, we have received just over $7 million more than our expenses out the door. And we go into a more detailed view. This is the areas on the top. Our revenues in red are showing areas where we are not going to hit budget. A lot of this is based on the reduced enrollment that we saw. Therefore, the state reduced our special education and our general apportionment dollars. So it's netting to approximately $800,000 deficit over where we thought we would be as far as revenues go. But one of the key things to note is 1.4 million of that excess is coming in federal revenues. That's food service revenues that are earmarked for food service only. So it's not like you can take some of those food service and help offset SPED or CTE classes or whatever. We have to only use it on our food service program. And then lastly, I like to throw this one in. I know it doesn't read well, but if you're online and you're wanting to look at it, this is a more detailed view of our actual, what we call our basic education revenues and expenses out the door. And it goes into a more detailed view as far as where the dollars are coming in through different tax line items or different revenue line items, and in addition, where specifically the dollars are going out when it's in consideration of basic education expenses. Okay, questions? Maybe. No.
Just one.
Okay.
Back to your favorite graph.
Perfect.
What I'm seeing there is the ending the August prediction is one of our lowest in 3 years.
Correct.
And it is what it is. Just those things scare me.
Yeah. But I do want to point out that right now it is trending to be over 8. We knew we were drawing down our reserves. And hence the reason we had to do the cuts that we did last year. Right. The goal for long-term sustainability is obviously to look at the dollars, look at the fund balance, and see where it needs to be in order to support our goals as a district. But when I see this, I'm not concerned. I will just throw that out there. Yes, it's lower than prior years, but for a district of our size, it's healthy. And thankfully, the auditors agree.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay.
Are we for next year? Are you I guess expecting a trend upwards or downwards in terms of
That is that's such an inquisitive question. Great question. So we're actually going through the budgeting process right now. One of the things that is really key to our budgets is salaries and benefits, seeing as how it makes up 80% of our budget. We have currently 5 open bargains with unions. And so there's a sort of a factor of unknown right now while we go through the bargain. We have targets that we need to hit just financially, just to ensure that we can invest in our programs and still in our staff. But when it comes to our long-term trending, right now what I would expect for this district is for us to stay stable. We don't want to see a significant increase in fund balance. That's not technically healthy for a school district. You're just sitting on dollars. You're not actually utilizing them for the intent in which they're given. But we don't want to see a trend downwards. So we will not be seeing a trend downwards. All of our proactive work that's done month to month is to ensure that we do not go down below $8 to $9 million in fund balance. And I wouldn't want us to be much over $11 million either.
Specific info on potential enrollment, or is that kind of just always variable?
Nope, I do actually. So the very first step in the budgeting process is enrollment, seeing as how that drives the vast majority of our revenues. Districts are taking a more conservative approach to enrollment estimations in the coming year. For example, like Director Olson said, Moses Lake, one of the situations that has caused their financial downturn is an overestimation in enrollment of approximately 200 kids. That comes with about a $2 million revenue deficit, but they had budgeted staff to that $2 million, which sort of intensifies that hurt when those kids don't show up. So for our district, what we've done is we've taken a very conservative approach and we've simply rolled the kids from one grade level to the next. And then you estimate sort of a flat enrollment for kindergarten coming in. And then what we end up looking at is, are your outgoing 5th graders going into 6th graders larger or smaller than your 8th grade class going into 9th grade? And then is your incoming 9th graders larger than your outgoing 12th graders? Right now, what we're looking at is a slight decline in enrollment based upon that conservative roll-up, but the approach that we're going to take as a district, just like we took this year, is any additional revenues that may be gained by enrollment increases in specific grade levels or elementary, middle, high, we set that aside. We wait for the students to show up in September. If the students do truly show up, then we staff for it, and then the expenses are incurred. So I know that's a long-winded explanation. A bit down, but we're solid.
Okay, that takes us to our superintendent report for the evening.
Yes, I just want to follow up and say President Natalie and I had the opportunity to go and surprise Ashley Murphy was recognized as there are two statewide large awards, and she was one of the 2, and she didn't know it, so it was really wonderful to surprise her, and her whole team was there. So and there were so many school districts that were very appreciative. I know that we have talked this whole year that we have been meeting, but Ashley has really been meeting with some business managers about what to do because people are in financial situations, and I really appreciate the hard work that my entire team and cabinet have done. It's not just Ashley coming to the table, but it's all of us understanding the levers and the buckets and enrollment and what happens in buildings. It's very complex, and it's very important that that understanding is shared throughout cabinet so that we all understand when we're moving, when we have to move staff or we have to collapse a class in high school. It's not because we want to, but the numbers have to drive enrollment. So I've just, congratulations to her and her team, and to Cabinet as well, because I know it's a team effort. In fact, even staffing this morning. So staffing has taken hours and hours, and I think we're a very healthy system. When I came in, we had some lack of understanding at various levels on staffing and FTE and what drives what. So pretty amazing. So thank you for all of your work. Just a few things. Scholarships. Last night we had an opportunity to go to Gig Harbor. Tomorrow night we'll be at Peninsula High School, many of us. Just watching students walk across and getting scholarships for the hard work, and then celebrating with the families. I just was remembering, and you with your son last night, pretty amazing. But it's such an honor and a privilege to watch families, because they start as TKers and then they go through this whole journey of schooling, and then they get to that, you know, and it's not just the diploma, it's all of the other things. So it's always a joy. And Dan Gregory as well, congratulations to you as well. As a dad. The Reading Task Force will be revisited this week, and so we're looking forward to all of that work. So hard work from Lisa and Natalie, and I know that that team is really excited about all of the work and should be celebrating all of the work that has happened this year, and planning for next year and what that looks and sounds like. So I appreciate that. We also have our faith leaders at the end of this week, so looking forward to reconvening that group. Just a really wonderful group, and I know that they keep us in their thoughts. They tell us often that they're thinking about us. What a joy that garden was, and I don't know how, Sarah, your parents fit the goats in the back of the Subaru. That I didn't get a picture of, but man, that was funny. That was awesome. 5 of them, not just one, 5. And then when your mom put them in the back of the Subaru, and then she rolled down the back window, and they all were, meh. It was the funniest. That was awesome. But that was really a fun event. So thank you for inviting us. And wow, that bridge, that bay on display was amazing. And I have to say about the dresses, okay, so you had prom dresses. Lori and I were there. There were prom dresses everywhere, and there was, you know, suits. Thank you, and tuxedos, and shoes, and belts, and hats, and all kinds of things. But that was such a joy. And I guess from Gig Harbor and from Peninsula, people were showing up and getting dresses. There were some dresses I was wanting. Like, I was like, that's a beautiful dress. So pretty amazing. It was really fun. And it was really, really fun because some of the staff had their little children there. And so the little kids put those on. And then I don't know if Brian gave out the mustaches, but there were these stick-on mustaches. So the pictures were hysterical and so fun. That was really joyful. So thank you for having us. School of Distinction, of course, I'm sure many of you will speak about that, but that event is just such a classy, wonderful event, and our students are just brilliant and so hardworking. It's really wonderful. And I think that's all I have. Just one thing, I know that our CTP students are working at the farm, and we had the opportunity, Ashley and I met with the Food for Backpacks folks today. And so we will have more information on that, but that might be a fun thing for us to go and tour if we were invited. And that's something that I just wanted to kind of put on our radar. That would be wonderful to ask maybe next time she's here. So thank you.
Board discussion and comments. I'll just start, David, and go down the line.
Yeah, I was it last week? I think it was last week. I got to go hang out at Gig Harbor High School with Natalie and Creston and Logan and talk to kids as they went by, seeing how excited they were to become student reps on the school board. But I had a lot of fun chatting up Logan and talking to kids in line to get into the snacks. And it gave me an opportunity, as we were hoping they would apply to be student reps, but also to ask them how they liked our cell phone policy and social media policy. So got a little inside scoop on that. So it was a fun time to be able to hang out at lunch. The audit exit, having been to, maybe not 10 in person, but, there's been 10 since I've been on the school board. And there's certainly been years that we've had findings, and, findings are never something you want. Sometimes it's something small like petty cash for ASB, and sometimes something more serious. But as the auditors were going through and doing their step by step, I've read tons of them from my previous work, I was like, just scanning, good, scanning, zero. I'm like, turn it over, and I was just sitting with a little smile on my face, and it was so nice to get that no finding. And so it's such an impressive feat for our finance team to have pulled that off in such a challenging time across the state. And then lastly, the student distinction was, as always, we just had a wonderful turnout, great presenters, great sponsors. We had the colonel come over from JBLM, which is always nice. And we had a couple of students and their parents were at a track meet. One parent made a mad dash back to catch his master ceremony student at the end. Dan, thanks for taking the time. And which is, you had to try to figure out where we were in the program, but you caught up quick. But I think had those kids and their families actually been there, we would have really been pressed for space. And so it was, if it keeps growing, which we hope it will, we'll have to find a new venue. But it was a really great night. We had some wonderful feedback from parents there that was the best one that they'd been to, and in its 22nd year and going strong. So thank you.
I realized I forgot to make a comment at the beginning on the consent agenda, but I think there's sort of a theme I feel like emerged tonight at this meeting, and for some reason I'm feeling really, really excited about what I heard from our reports, and it kind of ties back to this theme of kids starting to be able to be in the driver's seat of their own learning and their own of their own experience in the world. So I think, we heard the cadets come up and talk about the example that Command Master Chief Stockton has set to put them in charge of the success of the JRTC unit. And then we got to hear our teachers talk about all these different AI tools that are really allowing students to now take control over, and not only have the teachers show them what could help them access things, but then at the same time, I imagine the kids are able to now tell their teachers, you know what, this tool has helped me and this tool has helped me. And I think about in my own house how, particularly my older daughter learns, and she does so much of that intuitively, right? She goes and does her research. Usually when she's lobbying for me, to purchase something, right? Like, they become real good at research. But it's just, I think, the idea of engagement and investment and kids in taking charge of their own learning, their own organizations, their own clubs, and having a real stake in it rather than it being directed by adults. I mean, I think that is so, so powerful. And that's, the small things like this club that was just on the consent agenda, it's called the Circle of Friends Safe Talk. I've heard of this Safe Talk essentially program, something I was exposed to in the military, and it has a lot to do with peer-to-peer. It's not so much counseling, but it's more peer-to-peer listening, and then how to access resources if you encounter somebody in crisis. So the idea was, in a military environment, frequently there's not that comfort level with going up the chain if you need help, but there is going to your shipmate, right? There is going to your student, and how do we empower the students to be able to be that friend and that peer when somebody may be in crisis, and then how to get the help they need. So this is all a really exciting sort of, a shift in and how, really student-led, student at the center of their learning. So it was a really great board meeting, even though it's 9:00 at night. I'm really jazzed. So thank you all. And thank you all in the back. It was fantastic.
I'll keep this very short, since it is 9:00. But I have to mimic what you said. This board meeting and seeing the presentations gives you such a sense of pride in this district and what we have going on here. So I know we had some people walking out front, but the inclusion that I see in these groups, the JROTC is such an inclusive organization, and all these groups, I wish that those people could see from here what we see, and I'll try to also see what they do. But I think we are just doing a great job. If there's one or two kids that are slipping through the cracks, I want to grab them and make sure we take care of them. But it's just awesome what we do. The staff we have, the people we have here, from the bus drivers, janitors, to our superintendent, everybody in between. Very proud. I won't talk about students of distinction. Arts Council is another one that I wanted to mention. We had a meeting, and just very proud of the progress we're making there, bringing more arts and what we see as a vision for this district. I was really happy to hear that talked about for JRRTC, making that arts credit, and so I'll shut up.
Thanks, everyone. I do want to read a statement that Lori sent over, and I feel bad because she wanted to express her sincere appreciation for Command Master Chief Stockton as well. So I know that I'm late on getting it out, but I want to get this on the record for tonight. She just wanted to send her heartfelt congratulations for a job so well done that has exceeded all of our and her expectations. So sorry about that, Lori. And just a few things I wanted to mention. Scholarship night is always such a special night, but so it's fun as a parent for sure, and I'm looking forward to Peninsula's tomorrow. But I just every year am so overwhelmed with gratitude for our community, because almost all of these are local scholarships. So sometimes we celebrate kids who have appointments to military academies or something like that, but Gig Harbor alone had $240,000 last night, and I think Peninsula with their thrift shop is going to be even more. We're well over $500,000 that our community has donated. And I know now, having 2 children as recipients of that, it really matters. And I don't know that kids really understand that until their name gets called and someone speaks about what their accomplishments have meant, and that it's worth putting a financial commitment behind is just outstanding. So thank you to all of the donors. And then I know it's a year of work for the Scholarship Foundation, our volunteers who do that, put it together. It's amazing opportunity for our students. I wanted to point out that Resolutions Committee for WASDA met yesterday, so all of the amendments that we put forth passed almost unanimously. There was one no on our social media policy. That's from a district that just feels strongly that social media is here and we have to embrace it, not try to limit it. So, but I think that was a huge success. So thank you to everyone for working on that and kind of putting us on the map, I think, on the state level anyway, for that work. And you pulled out the Safe Talk. I wanted to talk about the IMC, our Instructional Materials Committee. So we just approved that today. So thank you for putting that together. We've got staff members, a parent, a board member on that. So this is a committee that doesn't select curriculum, but just ensures that the process that we use is clear and transparent and is followed. So I'm really excited to be able to work with that group on such important curriculum. So I'll end there. I have a list of our next meetings. We are meeting on June 4th. So like I said to the students, that will be your night for June, 6:00 p.m. here at Swiftwater. And then after that will be June 18th. Some of you will no longer be students in the Peninsula School District June 18th, but we will miss you for that. But, and then July meeting we have scheduled currently as the 23rd, but that might be revised just based on everyone's schedules. So thank you all very much.